Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
Let's do some weird
All
jokes.
right, okay, buddy. Tom wanted to do a bit. He called it Weird Job Wednesday. Dan really likes it. Tom says that's bullshit. It's another Weird Job Wednesday. What are you doing? What is your job? Are you neat? Are you tidy? Or are you a fat slob? Do you make lots of money and you sit up in your tower looking down on all the people who are working by the hour? It's a Weird Job Wednesday. Just another Weird Job Wednesday. Oh yes, it's Weird Job Wednesday. Just another Weird Job Wednesday. Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Weird Job Wednesday brought to you by Streamline Florida. If you're looking for a mortgage or refi, use Brian Zymel and his team, and it's going to work out for you.
Yeah, it's going to be the easiest and best thing you could do. Who do we have today for a weird job?
Justin's on the line. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing good, guys. How you doing?
Pretty good. So, Justin.
I'm actually not doing well.
Yeah,
Justin.
Daniel's not doing well.
I'm not doing good, but I appreciate you asking.
Sam is irritated.
Yeah, very irritated.
Yeah, at lots of people irritating her, like me.
Yeah, and me a little bit, a little bit less.
Sense, yeah.
Definitely Butler.
Yeah. Oh man, he irritates her more when he's not here. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works.
So, Justin, what do you do?
I used to work at Radio Shack back
Yes!
in the day, like 2003 to 2007.
Dude,
Heyday.
I am the biggest fan of Radio Shack, and when they were going out of business, because so many of us in, I guess, like prosumer audio, I'd say, is what we run here. I went in there when all that stuff was on sale. I bought it all, and I've got bins of all kinds of cords I don't know what to do with.
So you said heyday, but I feel like the heyday of Radio Shack was in the
80s.
Late 80s.
I want to say 80s. The 80s, you guys were living large.
You were in stage 4 Radio Shack, which is like
well,
at the end.
I actually worked at the one kind of close by you, Dan, when you lived in DeLand. I worked the one that was over in Orange City.
Yes.
At a point in time. Yeah, I spanned quite a few locations, Orange City and then Orange Blossom Trail and Waterford Lakes were all the locations that I worked in. But you're right, the heyday was back in like the 80s or 90s, but they started selling a lot of cell phones in like the 2000s, early 2000s, and that's when a lot of the people that actually worked there started making decent money, at least as a part-time gig or a high school gig, college gig, that kind of stuff. So I guess you're right. They probably were more popular in the sense of like your rectifiers and all that kind of crap back in the 80s and Stranger, what's that show that it was on? The Stranger Things type era.
Yeah, because the only times I went, okay, I can tell you I remember I'll say first times I went into Radio Shack. My father, it's a vivid memory. My father needed a part for his CB radio because when you're born into a Florida trash family, your father on any vehicle, whether it be truck or whether it be Buick LeSabre, will put a Unidyne CB radio on it with a whip antenna with a tennis ball somewhere on it. And he will, for no reason other than, I guess, safety, he felt safer having it in the car. So he needed a part for a CB. We went in there. He got the part, but as we're, I'm doing the little thing where it's like, Dan Lee, don't touch anything. I got to get a thing, So I'm walking around Radio Shack, and what did they have? Tiny LCD handheld black and white video games, and they had tons of them. And I lost my mind. And my dad, just to shut me up, I'm sure, purchased me an LCD, like some sort of imitation Space Invaders Radio Shack video game. I loved it, and that's when I fell in love with Radio Shack.
So
yeah, it was great.
It's interesting they didn't start, the employees making real money until the cell phone boom, and then people flooded Radio Shack.
Did you guys do beepers at all?
Yeah, the beepers were before my time, but yeah, they did do beepers. But what was interesting is you had in that, the clientele there was always odd because, like you said, you'd have people that would come in for CV parts. Then you'd have, like a little old lady coming in for a home phone battery, and then you'd have somebody coming in for like a satellite radio. So it's like this broad spectrum of people. And you also had employees that were kind of weird like that. You'd have, the nerdy guys that knew how to build a bunch of things or put rectifiers in sequence with this capacitor and so on. And then you'd have, like I was saying, I was working by the malls over on Orange Blossom Trail. You'd have guys that were selling, tons of cell phones and also trying to sell like reggaeton bootleg DVDs out of the back of their car. So you had a pretty wide spectrum of employees.
One of the things I respected about Radio Shack as a young man was walking in there and knowing that there was a wall of stuff that I had no idea what it was. I do that sometimes in music stores. Like, I like, and I don't know why this is attractive to me, Tom. You like to try and pick my brain apart.
Yep.
Why do I like the feeling of looking at a wall of little circuitry and nuts and, like he says, rectifiers, all these little electronic pieces that I knew had to be soldered or screwed in or somehow like, some old man would use it, but I'd look at it and be like, this is awesome. This is like the parts for robots.
So, okay. Every nerd dad has a category, right? And Radio Shack and what you're talking about is electrical nerd dad, right?
Oh, my
and
God. Am I electrical nerd dad?
Then there's
wood.
wood.
Please say I'm an electrical nerd dad.
There's wood nerd dad, which is like you go into the carpentry.
That's
the
Pinocchio all
wood
grown
shop.
up. Yeah.
Plant nerd dad.
Yeah, there's plant nerd dad. That's what I fall into.
Oh, electronic nerd dad stomps all over. Oh, man.
There's pottery nerd dad.
We all look down on pottery nerd dad. What are you? Oh, hey, I love you, Ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, look, hey, everybody, Whoopi Goldberg's here. You going to make us an ashtray, Johnny?
Electrical nerd dad loves all the capacitors, the gadgets, the
That's
hardware.
also going to be the band that we start that plays at Froggers every Saturday. We are Electrical Nerd Dad.
So what was the, you...
This is a Gin Blossoms cover.
You talked about the clientele and it being like old ladies and a mixture of like electrical nerd dads. But what was the quintessential service that Radio Shack provided?
It's in the name, dude. I think this is a CB, and I think
it's all
this
hardware, electrical
I think this
hardware.
is for dudes that were doing the ham radio stuff.
Yeah.
Did Best Buy was Best Buy one of your biggest competitors? Like who competed directly?
Yeah. I mean, you got the kind of to your point. What was interesting? You're talking about electrical nerd dad. You know what they did? And I don't know if you guys ever noticed this in your, when they were still around. Was you always noticed the Radio Shacks were right next to a Payless and usually a TBY.
That's
so
for
that
the
was
ladies.
like their strategic thing. Yep. You'd have the moms with the kids go into the Payless, and then the dad's like, "I'm not staying.
I ain't going
and
to gay ass Payless. I got to pay more, mother effer."
So then they would walk over.
I never noticed that, but he's right, because in the one he's talking about, the one that I used to go to here in town, there was a goddamn Payless right across the street. I mean, walking distance.
I want to drive to a Florida strip mall and then get out with my family, have my wife
and you go different
take the kids, go to Payless to buy some shoes
that
or
means
whatever
you got
the
your
hell.
house in order, buddy.
And I go to Radio Shack and I start looking for capacitors.
Because you've got your house in order. You look at your wife and you're like, you take the kids into the shoe store and get them coverings for their feet. I will go into the electrical nerd dad store.
You guys have to go everywhere together?
What?
You and your wife?
I mean,
that's shade.
That way.
It's
Shade's thrown.
It's like a nurse and also
it's an Nicole
warden.
Smith scenario.
How do you be a warden and a nurse at the same time? So
those are called worsts.
It's like I'm being forced to and I need to. Anyway, so Justin, when you work at Radio Shack, you work off commission?
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. It was a convoluted pay scale depending on what year it was. Like in 2003 when I first started, it was right when I was graduating high school. But what they would do is you'd have the high return items like your batteries and your rectifiers, and you would get paid either this really basically minimum wage, or if you hit certain numbers, you would get a percentage. So, for example, if it was bad.
So you have a daily goal, right? If you sell a certain amount a day, then you start earning a portion of commission. But the goal is typically out of your reach.
It was asinine. I mean, you couldn't.
Plus, you have all these other salespeople you're competing with who have been there for years, who know more of the tactics, and they take your customers from you. I'm familiar. It's a crappy system.
Commission. like I remember Best Buy used to work off commission, and it's a two-way street in the fact that it does in certain instances create better customer service for the customer because they're motivated to like serve you and whatever, but it creates a competition that's awkward that gets to the point, it's kind of like used cars, got to the point where they're rushing to you.
Yeah, like sharks.
And you can't just like leisurely browse. You have this person in your face like constantly trying to sell you stuff and then sell you the protection plans. I know that's like in Best Buy. It all became like my buddies that didn't work at Substantial worked at Best Buy, and it was all about protection plans because that's how you made the biggest bonuses or whatever. So they just scam you into all these different protection plans that they knew were BS. And
ours
they just,
was signing you up for a Macy's card or any type of store credit card.
Yeah,
credit. Like what they would do is the way you made the most money, I guess, kind of to all of your points is like, for example, if you signed them up for the Radio Shack MasterCard, they just give you a straight $20, right? So I'd make $20 off doing that, which was sweet.
That's sweet.
But then you have also, it's not bad. And of course, what would happen is it'd be $20 for like 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden it was like $5. You know, so they would tamper it off. But then, like for cell phones, if you sold a cell phone, it would be like, okay, you get $20, and then like you were saying, if you sold them the warranty, you'd get into like $8, and then if you sold them accessories like cell phone cases, chargers, you'd get another $2 per accessory. So if you had somebody come in so if you had somebody come in like a family of 4, and you sold them 4 cell phones.
OtterBoxes for everybody.
Oh yeah.
I don't want that.
Free phone, $80 OtterBox. There we go.
Yeah. Every kid needs an OtterBox. No, sir, you don't need that thin line case. You definitely need this big one.
I don't want the employees trying to sell me stuff and constantly.
This isn't about. We're not talking about you. We're talking about this guy.
No, but I'm saying like that's what the problem was with the commission is then you get hounded by employees and you're like, please get away. I wish I could buy this from home. Al Gore.
That's why you would hope that the wife would come back from Payless as you were getting to the accessories.
Hold on a second.
Then the dad never wanted to do it, but the mom would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm saving 20% if I get this leather case for my flip phone." And then next thing you know, $2 in my pocket.
We just stumbled upon something that I don't think we've ever talked about. You just were triggered a little bit. I don't think I've ever seen that.
What?
Your worst nightmare is the guy that's hounding you to buy features because you don't have the capacity like I do to look him in the eye and be like, I'm not buying any of that. Because it stops there. You understand that it stops there. If you look him in the eye and go like, I just want the phone, nothing else. And I'm not going to buy anything else. If you just say that, 2 seconds of time, it stops.
Yeah.
The ghost disappears, man.
I know that. Like I don't want to make them happy. And then,
I know you do. You love him, bro.
I don't love it. And then I'm like, he's been trying to sell me for too long, and now if I don't
then
buy
you feel
it,
bad.
I feel bad.
Feel real bad. And then that's why Tommy and Max are walking out with brand new iPhones with a big OtterBox on it.
That's why. Well, I think most
$3,000 later.
Like they took away, like at Best Buy and stuff, the commission-based thing, and now no one will help you, which is the opposite end of good luck finding anybody.
Man, somebody in the Twitch chat room, Nate Mass says, my store manager at Radio Shack, unless this is you and you're in our chat room typing as well, says,
No.
Yeah, we got a lot of Radio Shack men in our audience. And Nate Mass says, my store manager at Radio Shack was smuggling cheap cases, chargers, etc. out the back door, but selling them on customers' receipts for 1 cent.
Nice.
Yeah. That did happen.
I wonder why Radio Shack went away.
Yeah, right.
Oh, dude,
and I loved
somebody who was too shady.
And I loved it, Sam. One of my favorite stores.
I mean, my friends in Best Buy, everything was open box, and if it wasn't, they just take it out of the box, and then they were able to mark it down to whatever they thought was, if you were the head of the department, you could sign off on anything. So
I've never said this before. The first monitor in our first studio was stolen. I've never said it before.
It wasn't
it wasn't stolen, but it was definitely stolen from Best Buy. Open box from an employee.
That is just working the system.
Lightly stolen.
That's not stolen.
It's been system. It's been system work.
It was signed off with the department head.
It was a donation.
It was legal.
So
but bad. We still have it.
I'm curious to Radio Shack never went into the TV game, right?
Oh, they had some, but their stores just weren't big enough for the TVs. So what they did was similar to like the cell phone thing. They wanted to just sell contracts, So if they could sell you on like satellite TVs, they started selling Dish, it's the same thing. They'd pay you, a certain dollar value if you were able to sell the satellite TV. And same thing with like satellite radio and all that kind of stuff. But you're right, they had maybe at certain points like 5 or 6 televisions, but you could never get them bigger than 40 inches. There just wasn't enough room in there.
Yeah, oh my God! Checking in again from the Twitch chat room. Tony Palmiotti ran a Radio Shack for 3 years before working for Circuit City for 9 years. Then was a manager for 3 years at the largest store they had in downtown Manhattan.
There's
a fun fact.
They had.
I've never heard that story before.
Some of the guys in New York used to make tons of money. I mean, it was ridiculous because they would sell.
I didn't know he was a Radio Shack guy. We have a lot of history with Radio Shack.
So what's interesting is that you bring up one of the reasons why they couldn't pivot is like their entire business was like, hey, we're going to get these small stores in malls and strip malls and whatever, and then sell radio components and all these things. And then somewhere around like the 2000s, when TVs became cheaper and cheaper, like Best Buy and other Walmarts and stuff, they'd have these huge sections of just all TVs on the wall. Yeah. Like if you think about Best Buy, they had 100-foot long section of...
In the heyday, there was more than there is now. In the heyday, it appeared as if there were hundreds of TVs.
And that was the new way to display like bigger and better.
And
like,
also,
look what we
think
got.
about the psychology. These guys are taking these new TVs, and you've never seen this before, right?
Yeah.
So the first time you walk into one of these Best Buys and you see these TVs, and they've got the contrast on vivid, so it's blowing your mind, right? You walk in, and it's not the way it should look, but you're looking at this, you're like, oh, I'm never setting foot in a Radio Shack again.
Yeah, it's a wall, and that's where it kind of pivoted, and then Radio Shack's like, we don't have the room to set up a wall.
We don't have any walls. Put the radios on the walls. Maybe they'll like it. Turn them up loud.
And so do you know the reason why they eventually went out of business? Just because technology changed the way people shopped for stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was 2015. I was already gone by that point, but I still had friends that were in it. And yeah, I mean, you basically... Also, too, the cell phones, again, they just kept focusing on cell phones. You had all these people still going to, the Verizon stores or the Sprint stores or whatever, and then they couldn't match the deals that were being handed out. And then also iPhone probably messed them up pretty good because a lot of people don't buy their iPhones from, or the cell phone, if it's an iPhone, from the store. They just get it from Apple, and you lost a lot of flow of dollars there. And also, too, like you said, those high profit items like batteries, everybody just starts buying them online.
And remote control cars too. I mean, in its heyday, remote control cars and handhelds, Radio Shack was the joint. You'd drop in there as a little kid, or you'd be walking through the mall. I know I'm dating myself. I'm 45, but you walked in the mall. Dare I say I set foot in every Radio Shack between, like if I was Tommy's age, you'd never get me out of there.
I feel the worst for Electrical Nerd Dad because...
that's me.
Electrical Nerd Dad, of course, can buy all his electronics on the internet now. I mean, he can get everything he could possibly want and more. But there was something that Electrical Nerd Dad loved.
I like meandering.
About meandering through a Radio Shack, looking at stuff.
Why do you think I like going to Skycraft? And I don't buy anything at Skycraft, but I love meandering.
And thinking about
the junk.
What he could buy, because it's... you don't get that experience browsing the internet.
I don't. This is why I like to buy stuff. This is
old man crap.
I am the old man. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Samantha, we're just feeling
Stuck
bad.
in your ways?
No, feeling bad.
He's Mr. Internet. He's Amazon all day. I like a building.
But he meanders around Lowe's and Home Depot.
Yeah. Well, that's the plan.
That's Daddy.
Yeah,
But that's part of it.
But that will never go away because the bricks are too heavy.
Wow.
That's probably the most poignant,
beautiful metaphor for life.
Touching thing you've ever said.
They're too heavy to ship, so they're keeping the Lowe's and Home Depot are keeping alive my bricks.
Yo, Six Flags Nursery will drop off
some
rocks at your house.
No, yeah.
They deliver.
I was talking to John Gunther the other day about rocks. Anyway, so I like going to John Gunther's place and walking through.
Meander.
I can also feed the koi, which I like. Plant Nerd Dad loves feeding koi.
Look at him go.
They'll eat out of your hand.
Do you talk to him? I'd love it if
no, I don't.
Where you go, little buddy?
So,
who wants a snack?
Snack.
What could you make at Radio Shack? Like, let's start with the bottom employee to the manager.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom employees, they could make, basically minimum wage if they just really were not very good at their job. Now, towards the end, I think they increased the pay rate to like $9 an hour, and that was closer to the end of 2007, 2008. And, then, of course, if you sold those items, you'd get something. So most time people averaged, even if you stunk, you'd be making like at least $10 an hour. When I left, I think the most hours I ever worked, because I did through college, at a certain point I was going, 32 hours. So it was borderline where I was full-time, where they would start kicking me back so I would be eligible for benefits.
Correct.
And, yeah. And at that point, I was probably making, on average, about $20 an hour. And, in college where you're not working,
That's good
you're not
money.
working nighttime.
Dude, $20 an hour in college is legit.
Yeah. And then
that works.
That's 2007 money.
No offense, and it doesn't sound hard. It sounds like you could probably do. You sound like a smart dude. Sounds like you could do this easy breezy for you.
So I'm curious.
Yeah, it was good times.
Like, now that I think about it, Radio Shack had the worst business, especially
They're back now, but barely. They sell hats and boom boxes. I'm getting both.
Because you buy consumer electronics in bulk and you ship them to your store to sell to consumers. And immediately when the next best thing comes out, now you have a bunch of antiquated things that are immediately worth less.
Yeah.
So it's like you have the equivalent of produce that's rotting and getting worse by the day, and you're trying to sell it off. What would you guys do with, like, stuff that completely became antiquated? Like, I'm sure Radio Shack had fields of cassette players and, like, DVDs.
Yeah.
Like, they probably have a lot of
you would send them back every once in a while. You get, like, a recall. I wouldn't call it a recall, but, like, a product retrieval where, like you said, they weren't selling. You put them on clearance for a week or two. They don't go anywhere. Maybe after a month, they just send you a box and say to send it back. I think they used to have a technical term for it. It was like RMAC or something like that. And you'd have to ship it back to them. And only God knows what they did from that point. They probably sold it to Amazon. Amazon sat on it for 20 years and then made a bunch of profit later on. But yeah, you get a bunch of items that, like you said, batteries, rectifiers, home phone batteries, which obviously none of us have anymore, but we used to have tons of those.
Yeah, I went to buy a home phone battery from you guys with my dad. Tony's got some ridiculous stories in the chat room. Tony says, "Oh my God, Radio Shack sold a ton of remote control cars around holiday time. Most of them did not work as they were assembled in Mexico and in the Northeast, where the temperature was cooler. The actuators were not set right, so we had to open every single one and then use a mini screwdriver to make them work." So that sounds terrible, Tony. Then Tony says that they broke into they would break into the roof of his store once a month in Manhattan, I'm guessing, and steal everything in there. Once a month that would happen, where they just emptied out.
Batteries are the worst, because what you'd have these dads come in and be like, "Hey, I need a phone battery for my portable phone because my wife complains it's beeping in her ear all day long." And you'd be like, "Okay, well, did you bring the battery?" They're like, "No. Just show me your batteries. I'll pick it out." And you go over and you got a gondola, obviously 4 sides with just hundreds of batteries. I'd walk them over there and go, and I'd spin it, and I'd go, "Well, have at it, sir." And then I'd just walk away because it'd be like, you can't figure it out. It's going to be impossible.
Right.
There's too many. And then the worst was always you'd have, and this happened to me a couple times when I worked over on the OBT store, people would come in and be like, "Oh, I'm looking for those button cell batteries, like the ones that are in your ePass or whatnot."
Yeah.
And I'd be like, "Okay, well, do you have the battery with you?" And they're like, "No, I don't have it." And I'm like, "Oh, well, you got a photo or something?" This is back, like I said, 2007 era, so people weren't quite as cell phone, where they take photos and bring it with them. And I remember one time the guy's like, "I don't know, and I'll just come back." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I see him come back in the store later on, and I don't know what it was. People just thought because there was a small store and there wasn't that many people that we could just all be best friends. And he's walking around the gondola at the batteries. I'm like, "Oh, did you figure out what it was?" He said, "Yeah, I got the item right here." So I stick my hand out, and the guy tries to throw a vibrating toy right in my hand that needs button cell batteries. I'm like, "Whoa, buddy." And then, of course, he drops on the floor, and it pops open. Things go flying all over the place.
Wait, an old man tried to hand you a dildo in the Radio Shack?
Oh, no.
Yeah, dude. Oh, my God. I'm not even joking.
That's why I know you're not
horrible,
joking.
you know?
That really happened. Yeah,
Oh.
that's a real story.
Oh, so good.
I didn't come back out until he left. I went in the back and watched the cameras at my boss's desk. And I was like, I'll wait till he leaves because I'm not having another conversation with him. And also, there wasn't enough soap in that store to clean my hand afterwards.
I feel you. I understand.
So, what was the ongoing scam that the employees had to get free electronics from Radio Shack? Because there's always some sort of scam.
They I'm sure, and Tony, obviously, he being a manager there probably saw a lot of shady shenanigans, especially in the New York stores. But the biggest thing was not so much that they would try to steal stuff as employees. It was that you were trying to work your own game the entire time as to selling something. So there was a guy that would do the whole throw stuff in a trash bag and put it out by the dumpster, and then he'd come around later on and pick up stuff, whether it was home phones. I think one time he even tried to do it with a metal detector. I'm like, dude, how is somebody not going to notice a 6-foot long box that you stuck out there by the garbage disposal? But there was one guy one time when I worked at over on Orange Blossom Trail that his name was Mauricio. He's since been extradited from the United States, but he would come. Yeah, he got in trouble. He would come in, and you know how they had those projector TVs? That was a thing too, Tom, where they switched from bigger TVs to the projector TVs. Because the little projector was small, and they can make a bigger. They put a little thing up and they just project onto it and try to sell it to you. But he would come in and put in these reggaeton DVDs inside this projector and keep playing it, which are obviously not kosher to be having in a standard retail store. But what his game was is he would try to sell the reggaeton DVDs out of the back of his car. So after he would sell them something, he'd be like, "Oh, you want to see? You like this video?" And he'd be standing over with, a bunch of these guys that were buying something. Like, "You like this DVD? Look at that lady." And then he'd
Look
walk
at her
out to
ass.
his car.
Yeah. Look, they spicy. They're mine.
Yep.
And then,
So he would do that and then walk out to his car and sell him a DVD for $20,
So he would try to sell his reggaeton DVDs. He'd be hawking them out of the Radio Shack.
Yep.
That is awesome.
The drum beat. I just cannot fight the drum beat.
It
makes my hips move.
Yeah. He did that, and then the reason he ended up getting in trouble was because him and this other guy, Pablo, started getting in fights because Pablo alleged that when, obviously over on OBT, you had a lot of landscaping guys that would come in that, either were or were not documented.
What?
And they would come in, and you didn't need a license to get a cell phone. All you needed was money. So if you didn't have a license or documentation, for $150, you get a Sprint cell phone contract. Awesome. So what he would do is they would come in, and he would be like, "Give me your driver's license." And they're like, "Huh?" He's like, "Give me any identification you have." And he wouldn't let them have it back because if he did, then somebody else would try to help them in the store. And then supposedly, according to this other guy, Pablo, he started telling them that if they provided their documentation to anyone else in the store, they were going to get reported to the government and deported.
That's a good way to control it.
That is terrible.
That's an excellent play.
That's what happens with commission-based
that man was Pablo Escobar.
Yeah. It was hilarious because also I don't speak Spanish, which is a sad state of affairs because I was working there, and if I had, I would have probably made a lot more money. But I'd be sitting there, and I'm watching their discussions, and I can tell something's going awry because they go from real happy to, like, really concerned and all of a sudden looking around at anybody who's coming close to them, and I'm like, something's odd about this. But he ended up getting let go because of said issues there.
Well, Justin, thanks for telling us about your Radio Shack job. And
good one.
You mentioned how much money you made, right?
Yeah. I made somewhere, like I said, it was
up to $20 an hour during
$20 an hour. Yeah.
Thanks for listening, Tom.
Yeah.
I thought that's what you could make, but anyway, Justin.
No, that's what I made.
Thanks for calling in, and we'll talk to you. We'll probably never talk to you again.
Well, probably not.
You got any other stories that may be interesting in the future?
If you have extra stories you'd like to queue up, maybe we'll talk to you again. Submit a form at tomanddan.com.
I never learned how to hang out with someone.
You never have. I'm going to let you finish this one.
Say, I love you.
You know, I
love you, Tom.
I only saw the host just hang up on the people. Like, I wish I had the ability to do that.
Why can't you just do that? Hey, man, thank you.
Well,
see, I did it. See, that's
well,
how you
I don't
do it
have
right
the
there.
button, so when you go, I'm like, I just want to hang up on them, but I have to continue to talk until they hang up. So it creates awkward. Well, what am I supposed to say? Bye.
No, I don't know.
Thanks for your time,
We're
Justin.
done with you now.
Because I don't have the button. Anyway, my buddy, I won't say his name, but when he worked
Pudge.
at Best Buy, he had this old beat up Acura Integra, and with a blue hood because his hood flew off when the traffic one time, so he got a junkyard blue hood for the same Acura, and then but inside the car was the most elaborate technology that I had ever seen at that time. This was like 99, right? And he had the DVD player that came out where you could play PlayStation.
Yeah, you could play video games in there,
He had his like a miniature or like a small, they made a smaller PlayStation at the time,
like
in the late 90s.
Like it was like the reboot of the first one. You could put it in your glove box if you wanted to.
And he also had a full system and then like LEDs.
Unnecessary system. Street glow, lights everywhere.
All from Best Buy, from different open box things. And like the employees could buy stuff from the store if the manager, but they all knew each other. So they'd just sign off on what you could buy. And then they had like, remember when Best Buy had the, like you could go and they'd put the bazooka in your trunk. Like there was
they still have that. They still
like
have
the
that.
audio
I
department.
believe that they still have that, but they don't do it very often. But it was a bay, and you drive your car into it. Yeah, and then the guy would be out there.
They were like,
and you could
essentially not mechanics.
You could wait on it. He's like, I gotta get the wiring harness. Oh my god! You know, it's those guys.
They would be
guys
like
that do that.
Audio
technician
installers.
Well, let's be careful with that. I know a lot of audio.
Dependent on I think dependent on your geographic location, like there would be better people suited for better things of what you wanted. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you mean.
Like you can go in and get full blown like lights installed in your car and systems installed with like custom boxes. If you're down in Miami, like in Miami, you can get like custom boxes. And
not at our Best Buy, you can't.
You know what I'm saying? They would put in things because they
depends on the store,
They would have the knowledge because they would get. There was a bunch of audio places in Miami at one point, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, when it was super popular to get aftermarket stereos.
There's a bunch in Orlando too, but that kind of. By the wayside now.
Yeah, because I guess the stereo systems and
stock stereos now are pretty good. So
they got a good enough quality. It used to come with bare minimum, or you'd always have an old car.
We always had an old car, so what you wanted to do is make the stereo pristine. So you'd go out and you'd buy some speakers, or your friend would give you some.
That's interesting in the fact that if you had a car from the 80s and you're in the 90s, you need to upgrade the stereo because
do kids
80s.
do that now? Like if you get a car and it's like a 2014, Kia.
Dude, it's already got Bluetooth.
Yeah, you don't update that, right?
No, because you had to update. Like, and I had
unless you get into it, and that's a different thing.
Of course, yeah.
Interesting.
But when I had my old S15 truck. It had stereo, like it had the cassette player, some old 1989 stereo that I had to get a new. Like it didn't have a CD player. Anyway,
here's a fun little tidbit from the Twitch chat room. You can watch us every day, by the way. Twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live. Kendall says, I knew a guy that installed car stereos at Circuit City in Macon, Georgia, that would go back and steal the customer's sound system out of their car at their residence at night.
Double dipping. So he got paid to install it, and then he stole it.
That's cool, and he knew just how to get it out, Maybe he knew the
had
code.
Their address because they had it on
the
their
work order. Yeah, maybe he made a copy of their key. Who knows? That's terrifying.
Dude, the most amount of theft came with like Radio Shack and Best Buy.
Oh, he's dead now. Follow up.
Because no one cared about the company because the managers that were paid to manage the people that were stealing too because they didn't care because they were like, screw this corporation, I don't get paid enough or whatever it is, like no one cares, I don't care, so not my money, and I
Right.
don't even know who money it is. Like, who's the owner or like a corporation?
It's too far removed for me to give it
So
a
you
concern.
they
Steal
They don't
crazy.
typically treat their employees well, so
No,
they're never gonna
the giant
care about if some things fall
we're
off the
kind of
truck.
going through that a little bit now,
Yeah.
right? Where people are having to restructure and do things. Sam, do me a favor, because I think this would be a good way to end. Look up Radio Shack and see where are we now with Radio Shack.
I mean, they are online.
Is
for
it
sure.
just a brand? Because
Yeah.
like Playboy.
They're just making money off their brand.
Like Playboy,
brand recognition.
Playboy is a brand. It makes I would imagine it's a shell of what it was in the magazine world. But
Yeah.
Radio Shack, same thing.
Yeah, Radio Shack, they just had to file bankruptcy, reorganize, get rid of all these brick and mortar stores that are nonsense, just go completely online, and then use their brand to sell stuff. Like I said, that boombox with the Radio Shack logo.
Yeah.
People from our generation
Yeah,
would
I
buy
want
it
one.
just because we're nostalgic of the brand.
Yeah.
There are
So
still tons of Radio Shacks across the country, by the way.
it's probably stores that are used because there's still enough brand recognition and nostalgia for people to drive
So
traffic.
they're still coming in for a landing. They'll just keep closing and closing and closing until the restructures happen.
Electrical nerd dads still like going there. They're our age and above. Tony Palmiotti's age.
You can sign up for $19.95 a month and have your own personal tech support for any of your tech needs.
That'd be good
They're
for
an
old
AT&T
people.
authorized reseller. They're a Brinks Home Security authorized dealer.
So
They do hobby and DIY stuff, electronics, home and office, batteries, mobile accessories.
So they just made themselves smaller, and they're still going to give it
Yeah.
a go. All right.
yeah, and
Good for them.
Dude,
I
they
wish
got-
we still had one near us.
you got a popular brand.
There's one on Orange Ave, South Orange Ave.
You could turn it into some sort of money, as long as you can still turn stuff over. Although, how long is that going to last? Because that brand is only going to be popular or even nostalgic to us, our generation. One
It just
generation
depends on
below.
what
They got
provide.
drones.
Yeah, it depends on what they provide. Everybody's got drones now. You can get drones at Best Buy, drones everywhere. You get drones at Sears.
Yeah. And also, just look online.
Now, if people start dabbling, and it probably won't happen, but I could have seen a pivot with Radio Shack where they kind of become like a Tiger Direct, where they sell computer parts.
Even Tiger Direct went under, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And I see these are the places that we use, because this is the type of stuff that we need. We need audio equipment and tiny little, screws and little wires and things and motherboards and stuff like that. That's our world.
If you have, though, if you need a warehouse filled with electronics, and then your business is, I'm going to ship these electronics in like a Tiger Direct. I'm not sure what their business model was, but I imagine there's just endless warehouses filled with electronics that people bought online.
Yeah.
It's hard to compete with Amazon. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
because if you can get
they
the
can
same,
get it there relatively close to the amount of time. I mean, in some ways, same day. Not for most of the stuff we need. That's where I become dumb old man. Is like, if there's something wrong here, I want to fix it immediately. I don't want to have to wait until Tuesday to get the part that I ordered off of Amazon. I don't even want to go on the website and search for the part, because there have been a few instances, because I like to explain why I like to go into the stores.
Yeah.
There's been a few instances here, and Sam, you've seen it, where I buy a part online and then I get it here and it's the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not right, because I wasn't able to really look at it, or this isn't like what was advertised. This isn't long enough. Now, again, is it enough to offset? Is it enough to stop the progress? No, it's not. But
Hey, you need a marine radio for your boat, Tom? Radio Shack.
Do you have one on your boat?
I mean, yeah. And you can.
You have to have one, right?
You don't know, no.
don't?
I have a stereo, not a radio. Sorry, I don't have no radio.
You don't have no radio?
I've never used a marine radio.
That's when I used to. That's another thing that I used to think as a kid, that when I would think people are rich, if you were on their boat and you went below to see their potty area and stuff,
Below
if they had a
deck.
radio to the left, I was like, oh, they're rich.
Yeah.
I always thought boats with radios were rich boats.
If you
I
don't,
thought if you had a boat, you were rich.
if you-
No, that's
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
not
man.
in
You live in Florida.
and
Again, not my neighborhood, guys.
yeah.
No boats.
If you don't go offshore, there's no use for a marine radio, really.
Yeah, you wouldn't need it.
Because now a cell phone, it's fine. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Corporate Time.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
We got a little bit of time. Let's jump into your voicemail messages. We collect these. You can leave them via our app. Super easy to do. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to wherever you get the apps for your smartphone. type in Tom and Dan or A Mediocre Time. Snag our free app. All of our content's on there. And you can even sign up to be a BDM member. That's kind of our core group, our favorite friends, the guys that have been with us for years and years and years, and they get extra shows. They get an OG show released. They get merchandise drops earlier than most people do, or at least we let them know.
Yep. Yeah.
What else do they get?
Invitations to private parties.
Yep.
Once we get back to that,
Indeed.
we're back, and then we're back and forth.
Yep, I know.
We'll eventually, but BDMs are our first, I guess, P1 listeners.
Yeah.
They support the show.
Yep, they're our best guys. So sign up at tomandan.com. Here's a voicemail about the ever-continuing saga of pee pants.
Hey, Tom and Dan and Sam and Mr. Butler. You guys have discussed the now infamous pee-pee pant incident for Tom. That's just been going on all week. The little tidbits and jokes you guys have been saying. My own pee-pee trials. I'm older than Sam, but younger than Tom. Still in my 30s. But recently I switched to a compression short Under Armour as my new underwear. Trying that out rather than some fancy Tom Van expensive cotton man panties. Well, I realized I dribble more than I thought I did, or I dribble more now. And I tend to wear very light shorts.
It's like Ben Stein is telling me about how much. I love this guy's voice. He's telling me how much he dumps in his
And then
underpants.
why are you wearing compression shorts? Are you Julio Jones?
Yeah,
you don't
know,
need
keep that thing down.
We
You're not
need
an
to
athlete.
stop. Look, there's been a lot. People go all in on ladies when they think ladies aren't wearing something they should, right? Mm-hmm. People, they don't hold their tongue. Fat guys, stop wearing the compression shorts.
Yeah, those are
Get
for athletes.
Those are for athletes. You need a big old baggy clown, white or striped or white with hearts boxers for the clown that you are.
Oh my God.
You need big, and pull them up,
Balloony.
and balloony, and you got to pull them up over your belly. And why? Because you're big. That's just what you have to do. Julio Jones, his cross to bear is he gets to wear all the Under Armour and the cool gear because he's an extremely, fit muscle man. You're not.
Yeah.
So why are you wearing that? Plus, I think I know where he's going with this.
Or I dribble more now. And I tend to wear very light shorts. This is Florida. It's hot outside. And I noticed my dribbles were soaking through my
Yuck.
compression panties and onto my shorts. So I have pee-pee liquid stains every time I leave the bathroom. So I've got to get new man panties and
Big stripe, big white striped, and then they need to be big and over your belly like a cartoon mayor that had his pants pulled down in an opening ceremony. They need to be long and striped like vaudeville.
Yeah, thick.
Big cotton.
Is this a situation where they're just
Sailcloth.
not taking the time to do the shake at the end? What's going on?
Well, there's a lot. Okay, I read an article yesterday that was written by a sex therapist who said that a lot of women. I don't know if I can talk about this on the ACT.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Save that. Write this down. Just say Daniel started about reading about sex therapists, and we'll do this on AMT or a BDM show. TomAndan.com.
So there's a couple things, and I'll try to be how
Delicate. No, we're being scientific.
So-
These are problems people have.
When you wear the LeBron James compression sports shorts that keep everything super tight.
I thought that's what you wear.
No, I don't do like the sports compression shorts are like way tighter than
I
my,
wear standard loose elastic eggshell dad briefs.
like
That's what I wear every day. I wear these
Tighty
standard.
whities.
I call
They're
them
not tight.
They look like the same underwear that the owner of Marmaduke from the comic strips would chase after him in the front yard. They're old man, and they're a saggy ass.
I wear like the MeUndies ones.
MeUndies. What are you, Irish boxer? I wear MeUndies. No, I'm not wearing
It's a
anything.
brand.
Joe Boxer, MeUndies, any of that cutesy ass names. I wear regular Fruit of the Loom, Hanes, off shell, white eggshell, bulldog ass.
And it's a blend, so it's very light, and it's like what are they called? It's
what, like lycra?
boxer briefs, where they're tight. You know what I'm saying?
That's bad.
But
you don't want tight.
But they're not too tight where, and I'll explain, when you put those compression shorts on, it lifts things up and squishes them.
It's a smushing situation.
It's a smushing, and then you need to...
When it's smushing, it's a gushin.
Yeah. And you're smushing...
If you're smushing, you're gushin. If you're
smushing,
you're losing.
Anyway, that's what's happening.
That's why you get the smush gush.
You need to let it...
let it go.
Yeah, let it go so it hangs down.
Let it go so it hangs low.
And then if any gushing happens, it goes...
Hang down for the cushion.
How much is
in between
hanging
on
out
the bottom?
In the hose there? You know what I mean? Like, how long do you have to sit there before it
This
goes
is
dry?
too complicated.
I don't understand you guys.
This is too complicated. Fruit of the Loom briefs, just pull them straight up. They'll absorb.
Maybe do the dab. A little dab will do you.
That's what this lady said in this thing I read.
Okay.
She was saying that most men don't take the time to dab, and they need to dab.
Maybe
and I'm not
that's
talking about
the cure.
I'm not talking about
Right.
that.
My sons are being taught to dab.
Yeah, well, that's
Who
wrong.
taught him that?
My wife.
Well, that's
Okay.
wrong. You know what? Yeah.
Well, she doesn't want them to pee-pee their pants
you know
like
who
her
I
daddy.
don't. You know who I don't want instructing me on how to skydive? Me. You see
I
what
know.
I'm saying there? If she don't got one, then you don't tell them how to dab.
Yeah.
And I
don't
am
know.
Well,
adamant
Dad's
about that.
not telling him how to dab.
I'm adamant about that because I don't go in there and tell Maisie what to do down there because I have no idea.
Yeah. I didn't do. I mean, Crystal
You need
started
to get your house in order.
I
dabbing. That's ridiculous. Butler does that.
I know.
And
It's
he leave.
a
Yeah,
British
you know why
thing.
I know? You know why I know he
My
does it?
pop-up will be so
He'll
mad.
do it, and then he'll put the toilet paper back in the toilet, and then he'll just leave it.
Oh, no, you got to
Yeah.
flush
No,
that.
he doesn't. He just doesn't do 2 flushes. If you dab, guys, second flush is required.
Well,
if
you don't even need to, just wait until you're done dabbing before you flush.
Yeah. Well,
I'm saying don't dab.
That's a
I'm
chopper. He's like,
anti-dab.
I'm done, flush. And then he's like,
I'm
oh, Nick, I
anti-dab.
forgot the dab. And then he's like, I don't want to waste the water, so I'll leave the toilet paper.
I'll
Gross.
anti-dab. I will die on the hill. Call me dumb old man. Call me stupid. Call me filthy. But I'll die on the non-dabbing hill.
I don't dab.
Thank you. That's why we're in
that's
business
weird.
together.
Well, you might need to after last.
Well, yeah, no, I just, if
It's
you
pure insanity that people do that.
didn't shake it hard enough,
I don't even do that.
I also, we can't talk about it.
No.
Next, the voicemail.
Let's go to fingers being blown off.
Hey guys, I'm listening to a BDM show from about a month ago, and Tom's talking about his uncle he had no fingers, and he would always tell some story that Tom wasn't positive if it was true or not, about having his fingers blown off from a firework or something. And it made me remember, Tom always talks about wanting to run a long con with his kids, and my grandpa ran a long con with us. He was a West Texas oil man, and he had like a gnarly scar on his hand, right near his thumb. And he always told us as kids that it was, I don't remember the exact story, but it was something about he got in like a gunfight with some Indians.
Oh, my God.
The Indians'
Yes.
arrows went through his hand. Like they were shooting, my pawpaw was shooting guns.
Tinge of
and the
racism.
Indians were shooting arrows back at him. And I was a dumb kid. I didn't know time references. Definitely didn't know that my grandpa was born long after anybody was fighting with any Indians.
1800s. Yeah.
And I believed that story for a embarrassing amount of time. Definitely into middle school, probably high school, probably college. I believed that story. And then I later found out, when I was much older, that it was actually just when he was working an oil rig, his hand got stuck in one of those giant drills that they have, and it mangled his hand. But he definitely got me with that long con for a very embarrassing amount of time.
And I bet he
That's
didn't
good.
dab either because he's a real man.
And-
Well done, Grandpa.
And you'll remember your grandpa and his long con. And
That's a good one. Kudos to the Indian detail, too. That's good with the arrows.
You can't do that really anymore because now kids are like, show me the video because there's proof now.
Yeah.
Like,
Also, a
you
lot
can't
of
really
people
lie as much.
A lot of people in the chat room were commenting that it sounds like that gentleman was whispering. Yes, of course he was.
Probably at work.
He was in his cubicle and he was making a call to our show because he didn't want to work. Leave him alone. He's just trying to escape a little bit, man. You do the same thing too if you hated your job. Ease up. Not a lot of fun going on in the world right now. We got to create what we can.
My pop-up told me a lot of stories, especially like World War II stories, because I'd sit in his garage and I'd interview him basically.
Yeah.
And I'd ask him about, because I found it fascinating, and he'd tell me the story and stuff. And there was a good 10 that he would tell me. Some I could never repeat because it's so horrible.
Yeah. He's seen some stuff.
Yeah, but you can make up whatever you want.
Yeah.
And
no way you're gonna know.
And there would be no way to even prove it. Like he told me one story that he was dropping people off at the beach in one of those land people carriers or landing crafts. And that's what was his job. Like, he was the captain of that. Mm-hmm. And there was fighting.
Was it a boat, like a PT boat?
Yeah, the PT boat.
The ones where the thing goes. Oh, I used to have one of those. That was my favorite G.I. Joe toy. I had the PT boat, and you drive it up, and the front of it would flip down for the guys to run out. Yeah. It's a horrifying place to die, too, because it happened.
Thank you for
your service, Grandpa, and any men that died, my lord.
And the Pacific and the islands against the Japanese.
Very scary.
He would tell me too. He was like it was me and Charlie or some other whatever
Careful with
Billy.
That word, yeah.
but he was like he was in charge of changing the sand traps, because if the sand traps got stuck, we would be stuck out there and sitting ducks, and they'd blow us apart, because the only metal part of the boat was the front lander,
the lid. Yeah.
So he's like, you got to keep that towards the machine gun fire. He was telling me, and while I sit there,
oh my God,
there would be two sandhill cranes standing in his garage.
You're eating a Little Debbie and drinking a Sunkist.
I'd be sitting in his garage.
People that know more than us are dumping names in the chat room of like Higgins Boat or LCVP. Yeah, those things are cool, man.
Yeah, and then so he told me this one story where through confusion or whatever, he let people off, and then he had to go to another boat because of some reason or whatever, and then he was basically on that other ship, like not the ship he came from, and then his ship thought that he died because he never came back or whatever, and there was like little communication. It was like chaos. Can you imagine the chaos?
Hell's breaking loose.
And then so they it informed his mom that he had died in war.
Jesus Christ, Tom! I don't remember this story.
And then he finally got back to his ship,
poor
and
woman.
then they had to send another letter. It was fine. Like
it's cool.
How'd they track her down? Didn't she give him up to an orphanage?
She was driving one of the other boats.
No, she didn't give him up. She was too poor to take care of him, so she would go and visit him in the orphanage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't here, this is you for life. It was we don't.
Yeah, she had to sign off.
It was temporary
for him to go to war. Yeah, it was like they had to pick two kids to keep, two kids to go to the orphanage. It was my grandfather
and his sister. I wish Maisie was part-time, man. That'd be awesome.
And then so they would be like come on the weekends, which I was thinking. Now that I think about it, never asked him about that, but his brother and sister that got to stay with the family would come and visit too. So that's
good. You get to see him.
Yeah, but
how's my dog?
They were the ones they kept. So imagine
how's my room?
Your brother and sister that gets to live at your house comes visit you on the weekends, and you and your sister, the orphanage ones,
eating porridge,
are sitting there just waiting.
Sleeping in a room with 20 other kids.
The sad thing about that,
he never said anything about feelings.
Because
he never said it made him feel bad. Never even mentioned it.
Of course he did, because the sad thing is that was all happening underneath subconsciously. He's a kid. He was probably just really happy to see his mom and his dad and his family, right? But underneath is where all the trauma's happening.
I don't know. Never mentioned it to him. Never been like, well, I was resentful for my parents. He always was like, my parents didn't have enough money, so they had to do this. It was the thing they had to do. It wasn't like mad at them. Anyway, crazy. And then I look at my sons, and I'm like, oh, they're going to be like, my dad was, sometimes he was paying attention to his phone too much. And
he peed his pants because he didn't dance.
It's like, that's the worst thing that's going to...
Mommy scared him with a roach, and he screamed. And one of his listeners made a gif of it. Oh, it's funny.
But it's going to be something, like they'll look back and complain about something I did, right?
Yeah.
But, so, and that will be, obviously not on the same level, but on the same spectrum of getting left at the orphanage, right? It's like
no, it won't be the same. I'm gonna vote no on this.
They'll never have any trauma to compare
not
to.
Like this. No,
I think they will.
If you don't eat doo doo, you don't know what it tastes like.
That's what I say.
Wow.
That was my dad's dying words.
You gotta if you taste a little doo, you're like, oh, this is real bad.
Yeah.
So this other one is not that bad.
I have comparison now.
Yeah. Anyway, bye.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
Samantha's here. Butler's here. Fisher, fine.
From our wonderful medical marijuana sponsor, True Leaf, we've got Skylar on the line. How you doing, Skylar?
I'm doing good. How are you all doing?
Oh,
Good.
man, we are, well, I don't know. I'm kind of excited. Sam and I were talking even before you called. We are getting very excited about, I guess it's your version of Christmas in July, but
it's 420 in August.
Yeah,
Oh,
420
really?
in August. It's 820. We're getting ready for 820. And I actually, 820, let's do it, honey. I'm down. I'm ready.
Hold on, where did 820 come from?
They made it up.
We did.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, it's just halfway, so it's 4 months out, right? So 420 is in June, 820. We just thought we would have a little fun party
I love
to
it.
celebrate 4 months out. Yep.
So 820 is a True Leaves holiday,
Yeah.
and what's going to happen at 820?
So we're going to have a big flower drop, a big pre-roll drop, which everyone loves our flower, and we're going to have a really big sale. So we're going to want to make sure that, you kind of save up to go in then. We also are opening our 90th store today in Boynton Beach.
Congratulations.
Wow.
Which is our second location in Boynton Beach. So if you go there today, Thursday the 19th, at 9 a.m. until we close, you will receive a discount at that store as well. And then we also have, our Blue River deal going on and a bunch of new products and stuff like that. But then tomorrow for 820, we're going to have a huge sale for 820. Obviously, that will exclude like our ground flower and that sort of thing,
Sure.
but everything else will be included. So it's going to be really, really exciting.
And that's at every store, right, Skylar?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome.
Every single store. Yep.
One of the things I wanted to mention that, I know you've told us about, but I wasn't privy to it until I walked into a store and had, one of the actual, people in there, set me straight. I brought in my old True Stick battery, the very first one that I got. It's probably, I'd say, half as big. It's big. It looks like a wizard's wand. He was like back in the day. This thing, it's black, it's big, it doesn't have any cool colors, it doesn't really say True Leaf on it or anything cool. And I brought it in, and they said, yep, let's swap that out for the brand new True Stick 2.0, which has the haptic functions, it's got the temperature controls. They swapped it right out, gave me a free battery. That's the coolest thing that you guys have ever offered, and I wanted to thank you guys and everybody for doing that, because having a good battery that works with like options for temperature is unbelievable, and the fact that I can get a free one by swapping out my old True Leaf battery is amazing.
Yeah, and it's important to, like, you talked about the temperature gauge. It's really important when you're using different devices or different vape carts or True Pods that you focus on the different temperatures that you're using, because you could burn up the oil, which is what we don't want. Right? So, like, for example, our True Spectrum product, which I don't know if we've talked about this before, but that's one product that you're going to want to use on a low setting, because that's the closest product in an oil form, right? So a vape cart that you can get to smoking the actual flower.
There you go, yep. You can actually do a little damage to the product you purchased by going a little too high with the information. But this is all info that you can get. Man, this last guy that I got, the guys that you have in there are always good, but the last guy I got was like a marijuana nerd, and he was just setting me straight on everything that I needed to do and swapping my battery out. Yeah, that's an excellent point, Skylar.
Speaking of information,
awesome.
Skylar, I wanted to talk to you about, a lot of people don't know, you can go on True Leaf's website and chat with professionals right on their website about products, about what their recommendation for you is. Like, so, it's an easy way to find out information. I know constantly people ask me, just because I've basically used all of True Leaf's products, or most of them. New ones come out all the time, but they ask me, and I'm like, well, I'm no professional. It's also different for everybody, but there's free. You could talk to a professional from True Leaf about their products online, easy. You don't even have to go to a store. Although, like Daniel said, everybody in the store is great and helps you out with everything. But
and if they don't know something, because they may not, they'll bring somebody over that does, because there's a bunch of people in there and they know their stuff, man. It's just the easiest way to do it, and it's not intimidating. It saves you a lot of time, and then you don't ruin the products that you're spending money on.
Yeah, and
Exactly.
And then the person that you're on a chat with will tell you what they recommend for sleep, for pain, for all types of things that you're trying to fix, and then you save yourself some time. But what also we talk about all the time, like if you use a product at TrueLeave and it's not for you, you can take it and return it, right, Skylar?
Yep. Yeah. You can return it, and then you can exchange it for something different. So let's say you tried a vape cart and you want flour, or you want, an oral product. That's going to be like a tincture, capsule, or something like that. You can do that because not everyone is going to be able to use the same product, right? It's going to work completely different for you. Let's say an indica vape cart could work one way for you and it could not work for me, right?
Yeah.
So we want you to be able to try the products so that you find the release that you're looking for. So yes, you can exchange everything. Now, obviously, if you use like 95% of your vape cart and then try to return it, you probably will not be able to do that.
Yeah.
But if you had it for a week or two and you're like, this really isn't working for me, then obviously we'd be more than happy to exchange it for you.
There you go.
Skylar, I know basically everybody that I know has their card already, or at least has gotten it.
Really, it's the opposite for me. I got a bunch of people that are asking me this week. Maybe it's just who we're
yeah.
But I had a bunch of people this week. They're like, "How'd you do that?" I'm like, "How'd I do this? I've been doing it for 5 years. What are you talking about?"
But
yeah,
I'm curious to and what you've heard that like the wait times and how long it takes recently, because it's gotten quicker and quicker. As I know my mom, it took her like 3 weeks, I'd say, before she got the first email, but I know it's been quicker than that now.
Yes, it is. It's usually about like 10 business day turnaround. My suggestion is like, okay, so obviously you know the steps. Not everyone who's listening probably does, but a quick recap. You go and see a physician. They send your approval to the DOH. You go to the DOH website, OMMU. You pay your $75, which is once a year, and then they kind of go through your application. My suggestion, and this is like even the suggestion from my team, is to call them 3 days later to ask where they're at with that process, and then usually you can get a quicker turnaround time. Obviously, there may be a wait when you call them, but like I said, you could get your card 2 or 3 days earlier, but usually it's about 2 weeks max. Business days, that is. So 5 to 10 business days is usually what that turnaround time is. And I mean, as of last week, we had almost 600,000 patients in the registry.
Wow.
My God.
It's built up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy. Every new week, I mean, we're adding almost 2,000 patients, and obviously we would love to see that, 1 week, 5,000 patients. But I think, making sure that people know how to find a doctor, which you can find on our website, all the different deals. And, you talked about the True Stick 2.0, which I don't know if you knew this, but if you turn in your old True Stick, you get the new one, so it's free. Then you show us on social media, that you got a True Stick upgrade.
Yeah.
You get 10% off your next purchase.
I didn't know
that's
that.
awesome.
If you show us.
I have one more step to do. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Man.
Well, speaking of free stuff, I mean, we always have the promotion where if you buy anything at TrueLeave and then just fill out the form on tomandan.com.
Hit us up, please.
And once you fill out the form, we will send you a TrueLeave gift. Right now, it's we still have the bucket hats, the waterproof bucket hats.
Extremely popular.
And we're about to add and throw in some mystery Tom and Dan item in every single one, where it's like a leftover promotional item that we've had, but it could be rare or whatever.
You're getting something cool.
And that's been going on for a while. So if you and you could do it once a month, so you can get a free item mailed to your house every single month if you want to.
Keep doing it.
Skylar,
And we love free.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, take advantage now of all these promotions and things, because, right now is
I
the
thought
time
I
to
knew
do it.
all the ones. I didn't even know about social media. Will get me an extra 10% off, man. I'm going to make that happen. Skylar, it is always a pleasure talking to you. The chat room lights up. They're chanting Skylar, 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 because you keep showering them with percentages off here and there. And well, good luck with everything.
Good.
We know you're busy, but we appreciate you always giving us some time.
Of course. You're welcome.
Thanks, Skylar. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care. Oh, that's cool. I got an extra 10% off I got to get.
Yeah. I'm telling you, now is like, especially with the boom.
What boom?
The marijuana boom.
Yeah. The big boom.
People like it.
They do.
That's what the jury's not out.
The word on the street. People like it.
It's a
The
popular.
jury's in.
It's a popular. The jury. Oh, the verdict is in. Is that what you meant?
Yeah.
The jury's in. Like, wait, the
Well,
jury
that's
is in. Where
that's
are they?
right before the verdict. Then they have to be in.
You're just like my grandma. She used to say, "You can't pull the wool over my legs." I'm like, "Your legs, Grandma. What the hell are you talking about?
Well,
What are you trying to say? Warm? That doesn't make any sense."
What's it called? Old people losing their minds.
Well, is that what we're changing the name of the show to?
Yeah.
Does Sam count, or we have to bring in his swap with her husband and bring him in here? Oh my
Yeah.
God, that'd be fun. Will he produce for us for one day? Grumpy Trio.
Maybe depends how much you pay him.
He produces your show.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, plug Semantics. Who's on the show?
I don't know. I haven't booked anybody. I was
Oh.
actually going to book Grift and Jess and my old neighbor from my old neighborhood, but we're going to have to reschedule that for some scheduling conflicts. So I'm not sure yet.
All right.
Could just be me and my husband.
When does it become fully recreational?
You keep asking me that.
It's going to be a while.
I just believe. I know you've been
Can't be
optimistic
that
about
long.
this, and you always say it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It feels an awful lot like, how is radio still around? Doesn't it? It's just the different version. I just feel like this is going to take a long time to make.
Yeah.
Well, I
Make it
mean,
recreational.
what's long?
10 years.
Yeah.
10? No,
Yeah.
I'd bet it'd be less than 5.
I'll take that bet.
Well, I've been recreational for how long? Because I was the first on the show to have a card. 4 years.
I don't know. I
Well,
don't know what time is anymore.
Look
so.
up the current. How many states are medical? How much recreational? Because think about remember when the gay marriage thing
then it-
started to
and then it
turn.
just happened.
Like it happened fast, and then federally, and then it was just completely open. But I remember being on the radio talking like complaining about how ridiculous it is that gay marriage is not legal and how stupid that was. And then I remember people emailing me like, "Oh, it's going to take a long, long time." And then it was like,
I mean, it did take a
year
long
and a
time,
half.
Tom.
No,
in the grand scheme of
But
things.
from that moment that I was saying, this
Yeah,
is
I-
ridiculous.
So there are 36 states that have medical marijuana,
See, that's not all 50.
but that
yet.
includes like Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, so not technically all of continental United States, and then only 18 states have it recreational use. But that also includes like the Mariana Islands and Guam. So
It's recreational in Guam?
yeah.
But dude,
well, Guam's basically all military. anyway.
36
There you go.
states. I mean, I know that's like, let's say 34 if you take away some or whatever. Like that's the majority of states. And
But
so
not all for medical.
That's the medical. And
No,
then-
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'll stick with my 10 years. I think I
Yeah.
think that still sounds.
I'd be willing to bet $500 that it's going to happen before 5 years.
So it was
I'll bet
2018 when we could apply. So 18, 19, 20, 21. I've almost been 5 years. So 4. I was right.
Yeah. It just I don't know who and what the argument is to stop it. Or if it's just inevitable and they have to build up the infrastructure first to make it the transition smooth enough.
Norm brings
Well,
up
we
a good
need
point.
we need to officially change marijuana out of being a Schedule 1 substance. 'Cause
That's
it
a
still
federal
is.
thing, though.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Unless that changes, like it's never going to be federally legal in all
8 years
states.
ago, Norm
Well-
said he went around and tried to get like medical marijuana signatures, and no one would ever sign it. That was like 8 years ago. I just
Right.
think things go really slow, and we have so many old people around here, and we think that a lot of old people have changed the way that they think about marijuana, but I think most people are kind of like your grandpa. It's dope.
It's dope, yeah.
And you don't touch it, and it's what's wrong with the world, and anybody that's out
And
there
it makes
committing
you
crimes is
lazy,
doping it
and-
up,
yeah.
and home invasion, dope. Robbery, dope.
There's still some of that, but I would think that it's become so prevalent and popularized, and the stigma doesn't seem to be there at all. I mean, roll down your window at the stoplights and
I know.
everybody's smoking. There hasn't been any sort of catastrophe by increasing, by like making it medical. Like, so there's nothing to reference where the opponents to this would be like, oh, we'll see, once it became medical and you release that, then we had X amount of more crime or accidents.
A lot of times I don't think
None of it
people
happened.
care about that, though. I think they care about what they were indoctrinated into
Yeah.
with youth, and I think they kind of stick with that until they die. And drugs
That's
are
true.
drugs, and drugs are bad, and I'm never going to give it any more thought. I don't know. But it just seems like it's going to take a lot longer than I think we think it is. Because medical, I thought that took a long time. Like, just until we got that. Like, California had it for how long before we did?
Oh, it was a long time.
20 years?
No, I don't think that long, but it was a while. I mean, to the
But
point.
you're right with you saying that things ratchet up.
Yeah.
When they do start moving, they move a lot more rapidly.
That's what I'm just like, because the only other thing I could look at in my lifetime to have any reference to was the gay marriage thing, because, like I said, it was just at that point in time I was like, who the hell's against this? This is insane that this is illegal. And then
Religious people.
True, and then but
Yeah.
those people were the ones that are emailing me like, oh, it's going to take a long, long time, and they were throwing out like 10 years number. It was like a year and a half. So it seemed like there was like a tipping point, and we've already passed that. Like at first,
But we're slowly taking away some of those rights too. Like now we're backtracking, so it's like it's always a push and pull with this country.
with the medical marijuana,
With it, no, I was talking about with gay marriage, but it'll also probably be with marijuana too.
It's
They give us a little bit to give us hope, right? It's like, okay, we have medical marijuana right now in Florida. That'll appease them for a little bit, you know?
And then you flip to whatever, who's in charge of whatever, and then they go back and they undo certain things that they wanted to do for their constituency, and so they can stay in their office. Look, I'm okay with what we have now. I'm okay with just having this.
We'd love it to be recreational,
Well,
but
because
I
it
just
wouldn't
don't
be
know.
so
Well,
expensive. Because
Yes,
I will
exactly.
say, because then people
The fact that I
got
got to pay for this license every 7 months.
it's gonna be the same as California and Colorado. It's gonna be cheaper if you have the
card,
the
yeah.
card, yeah.
So if it goes recreational,
Could
the
I have used my
recreational
card?
prices are going to be way higher than the medical prices.
I don't know. When I went to Washington State, it was so cheap.
Have you
and it was
heard this?
recreational.
Have
it
you
was
heard-
so cheap.
is
Yeah,
this what
but
you're
Washington State doesn't have dispensaries and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the state. I'm thinking
Yeah, the
of
state.
DC.
DC
Sorry,
just
sorry.
actually got
Yeah.
legalized too, by the way. Recently.
Do they have it cheaper if you have your medical license? Because I know Colorado, they've told me.
I don't know because I didn't have my medical license at the time when I went. But I went in, everything was recreational, and everything was way cheaper than it is here in Florida.
It may be state
Like
by
laughable. I was like, oh my God, why? Like, that's why I was so surprised when I finally got my card here and I saw how expensive things were in the dispensaries. I was like, wow, this is like completely opposite.
Yeah, like when we went to Colorado, because I know some states, like if you have your card, they will.
There's like a discount.
There's like a discount. Could I have used it
Depends on the state.
in
Some
Colorado?
of them will let you and some of them won't.
Okay.
I think Colorado will.
But I think it's dependent on the store too. Like there's
Like vape carts are like $22.
Right.
You know, I mean that's like
dude, recreational.
that's ridiculously cheap.
When I went to Colorado, it was more expensive than here in Florida.
Colorado does not.
Colorado can be expensive depending
I
where
think
you
it
at.
depends on where you go.
Yeah.
and
Boulder was pretty expensive.
And I went to the touristy. I wanted to go to the big shop. Remember the one that looks like a mall? I went in that one, and then things are it was.
Yeah, Colorado does
some things
not
were cheap,
accept
some things were
medical
more
cards.
expensive. It was like, but there was almost too much. I was just like, oh my God, there's so much stuff in here. I don't even know what to get.
So let's talk about travel with your medical marijuana, because it seems to me that
Right in the butt.
that everybody just travels with it, and there's no. I haven't heard a story of anybody being taken out of line or a TSA stopping someone. Or
I do not travel with it.
The overwhelming story I've heard from all my friends and anybody I talk to is they just travel with it openly and no one cares. So
God, I wish I was that brave.
but that's what I'm hearing. I haven't heard any stories of people.
No, me neither.
Getting taken out of line.
Yeah, I don't
or
think
they
they
found,
care.
And
The only one I ever
I've
heard of
from
was
TAs.
that one lady that happened at Disney. That's the only one I've ever heard of.
But then it stopped. That was
Yeah.
a huge story.
Thank
and
you,
then
lady, for doing that.
we never heard any story after
Granny, poor
Yeah.
thing.
that. And then
got what in it? THC. This is CBD.
now I'm not telling anybody to do that. I'm just saying what I've heard. I've done it.
Okay.
And no big
Don't
deal.
admit that on air, but it's
Yeah,
possible for sure.
I do it a lot.
I haven't. I
I
just
did
don't.
international one time.
Oh,
I got a
alright.
little scared, and then but it's fine.
Andrea
Mexico.
won't- Andrea really gives me the dress down, man. Before we even went to the Dominican Republic, she just really dressed me down about it. And but without her knowing, I didn't talk about this either. So I guess it's me telling new stories.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't talk about the stolen, possibly stolen monitor that we had in our first studio that we might still use here. That was gifted to me from a Circuit City employee. But I did fill up a Advil bottle full of treats, and I was taking Advil all week in the Dominican Republic, man. I had a headache crazy. Does that count?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. But I don't think I would with a vape cart.
I don't.
There are ways.
I'm sure there are, but I'm just like,
it doesn't seem like
just
anybody
don't think-
cares.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
No one
on my journey.
We talked to people from TSA, and they've told us that they're looking for weapons, and or if they'll notify the police if there's some sort of kilos of drugs in bags or whatever. But individual people's vape pens and all that other stuff,
Tracy
does not seem like they care.
This is from our Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/TomAndDanLive. Tracy says, I took mine on a cruise, and they really investigated my bag due to all my computer cords in the same bag. I almost died, but she made a joke about how I had to work on vacation, and she let me through.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of someone having a problem with like a vape pen or some small amount.
Yeah,
of marijuana.
I want to know what. Okay, I want to know the process. So you're in line at TSA. You've got the normal stuff: wallet, keys, vape pen, phone.
Yeah.
You're going through. If I go through and I take because let's say I jewel. Let's say I'm one of them jewel guys. I don't vape. I jewel.
Yeah.
So I put because this looks like a jewel.
Yes.
Put my jewel in there, or put my vape in there, put my keys and wallet, and put it through. Are they going to take that and start testing it?
No, absolutely not.
I've never heard
I've taken both types of
because
vapes,
I see
and
jewels.
they're not.
Jewels are everywhere.
They don't have.
They
I don't
don't.
even think the TSA has the ability to. I mean, they test
Yeah,
for
the drug
bomb.
dogs.
The bomb residue.
Can you
but
take your
there's-
vape rig on a plane?
Yes.
Vapes on a plane?
Yeah. Oh, I remember who was telling us that story about some kid was vaping in the bathroom, and then they came out and they said, we're going to land this plane if someone keeps vaping.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said it.
But someone
It's like a
people,
comedian
it's
or
a thing that it's like smoking in the bathroom in the 80s. Like people think they can go vape in there.
Oh, they do it everywhere. On rides at Disney, walking around in stores.
There was a small sweet spot for vapors
yes.
right when it invented,
Yes.
where people were vaping on planes and they didn't know what to do about it because they're like, well, it's not really smoking.
Yeah.
But then they banned it
Like,
quickly
hey,
after.
it's not smoke.
But there was like 2
Oh,
weeks.
you can do it in restaurants.
There was 2 weeks.
I remember
yeah.
we vaped up Ember crazy.
Bars,
We vaped up Ember
TV.
so bad that place smelled like a dispensary.
Yeah, maybe more in restaurants, but there was like people were vaping
yeah.
indoors,
Oh, yeah.
and no one knew what to do because they're like, I don't know what this is. Like,
I think I only got that for about 4 days with my medical marijuana card, where I vaped inside of Fazoli's or Moe's or so. I vaped it was a Moe's. I think I vaped inside of a Moe's one time, and that was it.
and it was like
sir, you can't vape in here.
Socially, no one knew if that was
I don't
not
vape.
a good thing or anything.
I only vape marijuana. I don't vape. Vape. I've never done. I've never tasted what a nicotine vape tastes like.
Well, there's different flavors.
I know.
bubble gum.
You can get bubble gum,
Hey,
grapefruit.
maybe I've been
Ice cream.
Maybe I've been depriving myself of something that would add to my trashiness.
No.
Oh,
you
for sure.
You need THC in there. Why?
No.
It's
I
just
want
nicotine.
the rig. No, I want
Yeah,
the
you
rig.
get a buzz off nicotine.
I want the
Yeah,
rig. I'll do both.
Yeah.
You could do both.
I
yeah.
want the
Both.
rig though. I want the rig that looks like. Okay, I want the rig that looks
clouds.
like a small brick cell
Yeah.
phone, and then it's got the little see-through sucking tip.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
The big oil reservoir.
And it's got I want the one, and you guys
Like,
are
how much
listening to
oil
me
is
right
it?
now. You're listening to me. You know I'm talking to you. You've got the one. This thing's got 18 different temperature settings. It's got a LED screen on the outside, so you need to see how much battery life, and it tells the time and weather.
And you can mix your different juices. To
I don't
make
mix
your,
my. I never
customize
mix
your
my
own
juices.
your own
That's
flavors.
what's the problem with America. The too much mixing of the juices. I'm kidding. That's what racist people say.
If you mix your vape juices, you have a horrible kitchen.
I'll disagree. Trey Sywick,
He's out of the game, I think.
He's getting himself out of the game,
okay.
but he's got his own little mixing purse where he's got different.
Would he come in here and mix for us?
For sure. If he
'Cause
still has it, again, he was trying to get out of the vaping
I
game.
know he
but-
mixes drinks, but I didn't know you could mix
Oh
your
yeah,
vape
and
juice.
his kitchen is immaculate.
He does have a nice kitchen.
Check out Getting Grub.
I still contend I'm right.
Did anybody hear Tom do the
You
Post
always will.
Malone?
He's
too?
an outlier.
He was like, he did like, he did like the Post Malone.
I didn't
He did
hear.
like where he like did the staccato like vibrato.
Staccato vibrato.
You did the Post Malone.
What did that happen?
when you
Take
were,
a swig of water, sir.
when you were talking.
I got throat cancer.
Oh my god.
Something. It,
Quick, put some vape on it. That'll
it
fix
burns and there's all warties.
hold on, let
Have
me
you started coughing up blood yet? That's when Val Kilmer found out it was real bad.
No,
you
I'm
waited
good.
that late?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
And the irony of his character in Tombstone doing that.
Never seen Tombstone.
Oh, yeah.
He coughs up blood. I wonder if
Doc
he's like,
Holliday.
what if he's like,
Never seen Doc Holliday. I feel like I should watch more Val Kilmer movies now that I've seen that documentary.
some of them are bad.
Hold
Some
on,
of them are
did Doc Holliday have throat cancer?
good. No, he had
Tuberculosis.
He had.
Spoiler alert. Jeez.
I think he had COVID. First known case.
Bye-bye. Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Sam left a little early because she is going to see Alanis Morissette.
Really?
Yeah.
They people still like old Morissette?
Well, I mean, I would imagine that she's ascended to almost to I'm not gonna say legendary, but if you were a fan of like rock music in the '90s, I'd say she's right up there. You know, do many songs get bigger than You Ought to Know from Jagged Little Pill? That's a big ass song.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Huge.
How old is Morissette?
50? 45, my age, something like that. Maybe younger, a little younger than me, 42, 43.
Oh, she's probably older than you, right?
I have no idea.
Anyway.
You want to do the thing?
Let's do it.
Let's do the thing.
Jack! Nerds! Jack! Nerds! Jack! Nerds!
Jock, nerd, jock, nerd.
Jack!
It's Nerd Jock with EJ. How you doing, EJ?
Good. Pretty good. Worrying about my finances right now. So.
Oh, no. Worried about your finances. What happened?
Just fences busting my balls.
Well, you already paid for it, right?
Yeah, but I'm short on money because of it. That's why.
How much you need? We got you.
My student loan is $40,000.
Oh, God. Student loan.
You're still paying that off?
My God.
I'll be paying till 2029 according to Navient, which it's going to be part of my first story that we're going to talk about on the Jock section.
All right, hit it.
BYU.
Hold on, Alanis Morissette,
announced-
47.
Wow,
47?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. BYU announced that all of their walk-on players, because of the NIL, which is the likeness thing that they're doing for the NCAA, are having their tuitions paid for at BYU, which I'm happy for them, but 20 years too late for me.
No, now is not the time to be selfish.
So
I know, it's good. They should have been doing this all along. If you're playing for the school, you should have your tuition paid for because they're making money off you.
Yeah, and you could get injured playing for the school.
I did not know. I assumed that all the players on the roster had some sort of tuition help.
Got like a scholarship of some sort?
Yeah. Because
You
of
get
that
tuition
reason.
help, but you don't get the whole thing paid for. Like I had like Florida Bright Futures and I had some Florida prepaid. So it's not like I had to pay $120,000, but I ended up paying like 95 to 100 for Miami Educations, and I'm still paying.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is ridiculous.
Oh,
like,
man,
you know,
that's rough.
over like because really the small percentage of college athletes are superstars enough to really like the college are making money off their jerseys and like their name
And those are the
likeness.
ones that are already catered to anyway, right?
And the ones that are going to be making the NFL, right? Or like at least have the best shot, right? As the most popular player.
Well, there have been plenty of college players that were huge that maybe were a bust in the NFL that are still just fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
But
Danny Warfel.
It seems more egregious to me that you're playing for a college like you are, like you're on the roster, maybe you're sitting the bench where you have to go to every game, every practice. You're doing essentially the same amount
It's
of
a job.
time.
It's a job.
You know, maybe not the work because you're just sitting there, but at least time in.
You still have to be there. I'd rather be doing the work.
And you don't get compensated at least with full ride tuition, that's crazy to me.
That is crazy.
It's like you are just doing this for free, essentially, right?
I'm an intern for the University of Miami is what I was.
Yeah. And there's no even...
And I was paying to be an intern, basically, at that point.
Although...
God, when you put it like that,
now,
my God, man.
I want to play devil's advocate and talk about, like, the UM side.
I'm Charlize Theron, and I'm nude.
So...
Is that the devil's advocate?
By
Where you
playing...
see the mound?
By playing in UM, it was the best thing you have ever done in your life. And the most famous thing...
Or will do.
Yeah. I was going to end with that.
Yeah.
And you've parlayed that into Nerd Jock. That was it.
Yeah.
I was
that was it. I
making
thought you were
those.
gonna do a whole
Yeah, yeah.
list.
No. That's the only thing I could think
He
of.
thought the Zoom
Keep
froze.
No. That's the only thing I could think of that helped you, which really is not that much.
No, we couldn't even get
anything.
you a fence, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
We tried, too.
It's just a waste of your time.
Shout out to Mossy Oak. I think that's Jim Colbert's fence company. They're great, but they didn't want to help you.
Eventually you'll be fired for this, but wasting your company's time. So really, it only hurts you. So
Yeah, thanks.
It does seem.
I didn't think about that. He's putting his job in jeopardy.
Yeah, so it's good that they're doing this. It makes perfect sense. This is logical.
At BYU, because BYU is a private institution, and it's just as expensive as Miami for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if the football players are playing for your team, helping you promote your school, pay for their school. You know what I'm saying? Don't make them pay and work for free to promote your school. Stupid.
Now, will this eventually, they're going to want this eventually to trickle down to everybody, right? So how do you guys feel like when I'm seeing these commercials on TV for, let's say, I'm just going to use everybody's most famous. So Gainesville, right? We got to go Gators. And I see the commercial where they show the campus, right? They do the drone flyover. We've all seen the commercials.
Yeah.
And then they cut to the players, right? They should be paid to be in the commercial. And then they show the cheerleaders, right? And the cute Go Gator girls, right? I mean, should all those people be compensated for driving traffic to? It's a business. It is a business. It is Go Gators business, and we are driving young people that their parents went and other people went. And it's no different than your loyalty to Best Buy or Circuit City or anything else. You're going to Go Gators because you were a Gator, and right?
Well, what happened is they'll just they'll make you sign paperwork where like they'll pay for your tuition, but they're allowed to use your likeness, and you'll sign it if you're not a star player. I don't even know if they could do that based on the new rules, but it's like I'm sure there'll be some sort of like, hey, you're the third stringers that are on the team on the roster or whatever, they'll get their college paid for, but that includes us maybe using you in promo, something like that. I don't know.
Right.
But it's good that they're being compensated, and at least the conversation has been open and the rules have changed, and it'd be good for college athletes.
What else you got?
Okay, well, guys, I'll talk about this. Tim Tebow just got cut from the Jacksonville Jaguars today.
Yep.
And because of his abysmal blocking, for sure, that was what cost him his spot on the roster, for sure.
And this is what everybody said, including you and Tom, abysmal blocking.
Yeah, he'll be good at catching passes. I had no doubt about that. It's the blocking that would be an issue for him, for sure.
Yeah, because he hasn't played that position his entire life like everybody that's competing for that job. You know what I'm saying? Then that's what all these tight ends said. I'm so mad at myself for not immediately betting all the Tim Tebow props, but I got caught up in the what ifs. And honestly, it goes against my whole strategy for gambling. Is like I saw this and I heard professionals in the NFL saying there's no way Tim Tebow makes the final roster.
You talked about it.
I talked about it on the show, and they like a bunch of
Tom, you said I mean, I'm surprised you didn't. Why didn't you do anything?
I think I bet EJ. Didn't we have a bet EJ where I said he wasn't going to even catch?
I don't think we went with it.
The bet we have is Trevor.
No,
I thought the bet we have was it Trevor Lawrence start, or it was somebody starting. The bet that we have with EJ is who will be starting. It's somebody that got traded or
It could be one of the rookie
Damn it.
QBs,
Yes.
Justin Fields.
It's somebody
Justin
starting.
Fields
I know
looked
it's a
good.
starting bet.
well,
I know it is, and Sam's got it written down. I'll
Speaking
find
of
it.
Justin Fields, his percentages, at least in Vegas, went higher up that he will start Week 1 based on his preseason performance.
They still got the Red Rocket there, though, in Chicago. He's still number 1 on the depth chart, but Justin Fields had a good outing.
But there
for his
was
first season game.
There were tons of bets on Bovada about how many yardage, the yardage Tim Tebow would get. How many? I think his over/under touchdowns at one point were 2. It was like such an easy way to just bet everything under. Like everything. You could have bet the max, and I'm sure the max was probably $100 on Bovada, but you could have made. I mean, I think there was 10 different props about Tim Tebow.
Do they adjust it based on him not playing as a sorry? He didn't even play, so no, everything's a wash.
You got to be careful. Sometimes
I get confused. That's why I always ask you, because I don't know, because I could see a predicament where they're like, well, no. It was 2 touchdowns. If he made played, the roster, he didn't make it.
Sometimes a lot of books, that's why you got to read the fine print.
Crap,
stipulations.
They'll put stipulations to cover their own ass. I mean, listen, these are just businesses that want to make money, and they'll say based the same thing with if you bet a game and it got canceled at COVID, it's just like the game has to be played, or Tim Tebow has to be
correct
in the game for it to be a bet. It can't just be he got cut and then I win all my bets. So
God, that'd be awesome though.
So most
that
likely
would be the one.
Now, if there is stipulation that those are offshore books, like something like DraftKings, and if you go into a casino in Vegas, you could have probably got that down and then been paid since he got cut.
But am I correct in thinking they would have been more cautious because they're the ones that they know they're on the hook for paying, so they're not going to give you as much as you normally would someplace else?
Yes,
okay.
and they'll be like, okay, you could bet this, and if he gets cut, you still win, but your limit is $100.
Right.
You'll never be able to bet $10,000 on that.
All right. What else you got? Bye Tebow.
Okay. Should we talk about the Rams versus the Chargers fight with the fans?
Yeah.
I sent the video to Dan.
Yeah, I can play it.
There's too much cussing, so we can't play the audio.
Yeah, I can't play the audio, but
crazy.
It's bad. It's embarrassingly bad. Let me make it.
Yeah, it's not the Phoenix Suns and 4 guy. It's bad.
Yeah, so here I'll go to it. This is from, I got to make sure I mute this. This is from, I'll give credit to Raider Nation on this one. Raider Nation hits.
EJ, before we play, and I saw this, and it is real bad.
Have you seen the multiple angles? Because they have it from above, behind the guy, and then behind the lady in this. Which copy did you watch?
I
watched all 3.
I watched the lady one, and then I watched the guy when the 3 dudes are hammering him in the face, and he gets beat up real bad.
Oh, he gets beat up bad because he gets pulled over the chair, and then he's just defenseless.
I really wish people would just, for their own life, and I'm talking to the guys getting hit and the guys hitting. So, what gives me anxiety about this is you'll ruin your life. You end up punching somebody and killing them
and he dies,
and then you're done. Your life's ruined.
Yeah. Now
stop that.
There's 3 different reasons this could be happening. One being there is actually an uptick in fights in the stands based on maybe the people willing to go to a crowded football game, and especially during the pandemic and blah blah blah.
Are you saying that they might be less savory?
That could be it.
What's the risk averse? What's the opposite of risk averse? Risk happy that they'll take these chances.
Yeah, I mean, well, there could be that. There could be the fact that we're just seeing it more because more people have cell phone cameras. Although people had cell phone cameras in 2019, and we didn't see the amount. Well,
there was fights at every Miami game that I was at. Every home game at Miami, there was a fight in the stands. We watched from the field.
Could it just be a media thing where this now is the hot topic of media, and we're just seeing more of the fights? The fights have always happened, and we're just seeing it more.
I mean, and
trying to figure out a reason for it.
In my opinion, from what you and I've seen, I've been to a lot of arena games, right? That's football. I've been to a lot of those. Beers are flowing, and I've been to a bunch of soccer games. I've seen a lot of fights. People fight. Mm-hmm. Not like this. Now, this is like...
This is extreme.
But I've seen a lot of altercations. These are a little more These are a little heavier than that. These are like full-on blood fights.
We went to every single Orlando City match for like how many years?
I didn't see many in Orlando City.
I never saw one.
No, I didn't see. I saw one.
Yeah,
I saw one.
I never seen a fight in the stands in real life.
I've only seen one in soccer. I think I've seen more than that with the length of time we did the Predators. But anyway, that's a great question. I do think it's hot topic. When things are hot, you get more of it seen.
So yeah, because there was another one at the Raiders versus Seattle game too, but that I couldn't find any video of that one. But
here we can talk over this while I play it because it's I'll just play it now. I'll have to describe it, but you can see that
there's a guy in an Aaron Donald jersey, and he's usually talking to 4 other guys that are, I think they're Chargers fans, and he's in a Rams jersey, and he's just like talking, using his hands a lot while he's talking. And he turns away to start going away, and then a lady throws a drink at him, and he thinks that they did it, and he backhands all 4 of them at the same time, which is amazing.
So
yeah, but then he
gets violent.
Then he gets just decimated, which is
so he's throwing haymakers, and now they all they're ganging up on him.
Now they got him in the headlock, and that's where it gets bad. When
they start punching him in the butt and in the sides and the flanks, like they're getting.
And then some old man's picking up every beer he can find. Some old man with a mask on is like, "I want to play. I've been cooped up. I haven't done nothing. I got my Moderna shot. I'm flinging beers. Look at me. I'm American."
Why is that
dumb old man?
Why is old man throwing beers on everybody?
He's a crazy look. I want to play. I'm gonna do the audio of this old man here. Oh, what are they doing? Oh man, this looks like fun. I remember doing this. Take that. Oh, I threw a hot dog. Hold on a second. I got a beer here. Oh, give me your beer, Charlie. I'm gonna go over here and steal this old lady's beer. Oh, what is it? Oh, it's an Amstel Light all over your back. Hold on. Oh, there's a Heineken for you. That guy's an idiot. What?
Now,
the worst part of it was. It was almost over. They were done talking to each other.
It was
and the guy was about to go get a beer or some pretzel or something like that. And the lady who's behind these 4 guys that are beating her up throws her full drink at him when his back is turned and starts it up.
It's all alcohol induced. Like that lady, you look at her and you could make a case that she would be like toll booth operator, preschool teacher. So you look at her and you're like, this isn't the kind of stuff you do. Are you drunk? Why are you tossing beers on people? What the hell's wrong with you?
Also, the one piece of clothing, I mean, there's multiple, but one quintessential piece of clothing that tells everybody you make bad life choices is black wife beater.
Black wife beater. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I remember I had one black wife beater.
It's called a business beater. Because it's supposed to be like one notch higher than a traditional wife beater. It's the business beater.
I was like, why did you wear that? Is it?
And normally you tuck it into black jeans, and I don't know why it's black jeans, but it always is.
Like that would be the purpose is for.
Well, the purpose is to show off your ICP tattoo.
Because what is the purpose of like the dark
black wife beater to go under a black dress shirt when I'm going to a fancy juggalo wedding? You idiot.
but if you had a white wife beater under a black dress shirt, you wouldn't see through it because the black.
But you'd get black fuzzies all over your white wife beater.
Next story, EJ.
Okay, well, speaking of which, how beer started this fight. Did you watch the documentary about the Malice in the Palace? That's on Netflix.
You know what's funny is I didn't know what that was, but I heard people talking about it, and I thought it was like a documentary about the Royals, but I'm obviously wrong.
No, it's about the fight between the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers back, I think it's in 2004.
I remember that.
Ron Artest went into the stands, and the whole thing started because someone threw a beer at Ron Artest. Same exact scenario. Like, he was cool. He was laying on the scores table trying to like stop a fight, and then someone threw a beer, and then him and Steven Jackson and Jermaine O'Neal started beating up fans.
I remember
they deserved it. Every one of the fans they punched deserved it.
Do they interview? Do they interview the fans?
They find the guy that threw the beer too, and he is a douche.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna check this out.
Well, I knew that.
Have to watch it. I don't want to ruin any more.
I knew what I want though.
I didn't think he was a Rhodes Scholar.
No, but you know what I want? Like this lady in this video that they found this lady, and they're gonna find her Facebook page and where she works and everything. But
they found everything.
They
don't even know her last name. She's the Millers.
They have her, and I want them to interview like this guy. In a perfect world, I want them to interview her and her just to say, I got caught up in the moment. I was there. I love the Rams. I threw the beer. It was stupid. I shouldn't have done it. But they never do. They always double down.
Of course. Well, yeah, because...
why?
if you're willing to actually start throwing punches in the stands of a sporting event, there's an element of trashiness that you have. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Like, I mean, you could be a upstanding gentleman and you're defending your wife's honor because someone called your wife some sort of insulting thing and you had to stand up for it. That's not happening. You start screaming at some other fan wearing the opposite team jersey and things get out of control and
I've
then
done that
everybody
before.
starts punching each other.
I have been in a scenario where I've been somewhere and somebody called my wife a bitch. And I will lean over to my wife and I'll be like, that big guy over there just called you a bitch. That's crazy. You going to do anything about that? I'm not doing anything about it.
So, the documentary about that fight, if I remember correctly, not that much happened from it. Like, I know.
Oh no, not true. There's a lot
No?
that happened. Like a couple of the players got suspended for like 25 games and 30 games, and then Ron Artest was done for the whole year. And it was like only like the 10th game of the season, so he lost like 70 games.
Okay, that's right. I forgot he got
Damn.
done for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Well, now, if you think about it, though, like nothing criminally or any sort of like, was there?
They tried. Well, see, I don't want to spoil any more about it.
Yeah,
'cause
don't
I-
spoil
if
it.
I
Oh, okay.
say
Oh,
this,
so-
then
Don't
I'll
spoil
be
it.
answering
I'm going to
all
watch
questions.
it. I think I'm going to watch it
Yeah.
tonight. It sounds great.
It's funny.
But it's definitely connected to what just happened. Like throwing a beer started everything.
Well, but see, you know what worries me about this is like, I start to get, and it's probably an irrational fear, but I start to think if y'all can't contain yourselves, it's going to be those scenarios where, because I hate going to sporting events where you can't have beer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm with like
A
you
dry
with betting.
campus,
You know, like
like
you
on
say,
college
I can't
campus?
watch a sport
Yes.
without a bet on it. I don't like watching sports without a beer in my hand, or at least the essence of beer somewhere in the stadium.
but
I don't want that.
Here, we will never have that because the NFL is greedy, and there's no way in hell that they're going to do anything to jeopardize their partnership with Budweiser or Miller Lite or whatever the hell. I think it's Budweiser is probably their biggest partner.
believe so, yeah.
And like every stadium, I mean, it's so massive that they'll be like, we'll just put more security. It's like the hundreds of millions of dollars that the beer corporations spend in advertising and everything else, they'll never jeopardize that. They'll just add more like cameras, security, kick people out, ban people for life, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, and sooner or later, it'll eventually clean itself up, right? Because
Well,
people,
that or they just get a bunch of weed sponsors and everyone can relax a little bit more.
that is true. It's a lot of these things are fueled
I
by
get uninterested when I'm
alcohol.
high, though. I'm just like, I'm watching. I'm like, yeah. I was like, just keep the score on in the corner. Like, turn the switch on. Let's play some Mario Golf.
It is true. Like I've been so high before, I thought to myself, I can't defend my family. But I've never ever thought that drunk.
When I'm drunk, I think I can defend my family against police officers.
Oh, yeah, like I want to actively defend my family
Yes.
for no reason.
I start looking around. I'm like, I need to. I think I need to. I must.
Yeah. I need to punch this guy.
Yeah. Remember at the Avett Brothers concert when I went up to the police officers
Yeah.
and I said, "There are drunk guys down here throwing," and the guy goes, "And what are you?" And I go, "Well said." Go back to my seat.
Oh.
Next story, EJ.
Shut up.
Okay, next story. Let's talk about the Field of Dreams. They're planning next year's game already because it was such a success with the Yankees and the White Sox. So the Cubs are going to play there next year against the Reds.
Oh, cool.
So they're
Tom-
going to keep doing that because I
Tom
went
hates
there
it. He hates the
on
Field of
vacation.
Dreams. He hates it.
Them walking out of the corn is corny.
Ah, we'll
It
be
is.
right back.
You're
We'll see you
going to do
later.
dad puns now? Oh, God.
and then it's all corporate. And it's like, well, this
Corn
is,
print.
That's the problem I have with it, too. It's going to become too corporate. They're going to ruin that whole area because Dyersville's like a really small town. Like, they barely have a gas
It's
station.
Field of Dreams, brought to you by Pop Secret.
And I mean, who is it cool for? The people that are nostalgic about Field of Dreams, the movie. That I've never even seen that
You're
movie.
making me.
Stupid.
You're making me admit that I looked at it and said, "That's cool." So, but all I was doing was giving it a blanket cool,
yeah.
and that's not fair.
And you overthink
And you're,
it. then
and you're
it's really
making
bad.
me second guess it now,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
hating you for it.
Yeah.
I hope you can feel the hatred. You're making
Watch
me
the
hate it.
speech that James Earl Jones says in that movie, and I can't say that you won't like it.
It's just like for those that are okay. So I
For
understand.
those about to rock, we salute you.
You're like the tickets are like $1,200 or something, right? It's like expensive.
No. They had a lottery. There was only 8,000 people that were allowed to go to the game with Chicago and the Yankees, and you had to be in the lottery. They were talking about it when I was up there, and I think the tickets were like $20.
Okay, but they have to limit it because of obviously the
COVID,
demand.
They didn't have any, they didn't have any seats.
Yeah.
Like the stands
Bleachers.
was tiny.
They just have the bleachers. So if you're not there, what about the viewing experience that you get watching it? Does
They
it
have the corn
enhance-
cam.
Does it enhance?
Let's go to the corn cam.
Also, I saw some of it, but like, is the outfield, is the wall the corn, and then or is
They
there
have to run through the corn.
No, there's an actual wall there. They built a wall so you're not like the outfield. Okay,
but it's a corn
The original
wall.
field has just a corn. There's just corn there.
Yeah.
But the field they built for the Major League Baseball game, they built a wall so there was actual boundaries.
Not accurate.
So then,
Yeah, it's not the same field. It's like the one that's next to the house that's in the movie is not the field they used.
so how does it enhance my viewing experience from home?
Smells like corn.
It's
Oh, from
nostalgia.
But I'm saying, does it like?
It doesn't, Tom. It doesn't.
You're never gonna like baseball, so it doesn't matter.
No,
this
he just
game
wanted
is
me
not
to
for
scream at
you.
him.
Yeah.
He got
Not
what he
everything
wanted.
I
is
just
for
want-
You, Tom.
I wish you could see the bottom half of his body right now.
just
Let's just
want-
say it's
Is
tight.
he shaking?
Yeah, it's tight. It's tight.
I
It's
just-
rigid.
Well, think about all the corn they grew. Aren't you in the like growers and showers group on?
He
on
hates
the
corn.
BDS?
Yeah, that's stupid. Like, it's not hard to grow corn; it's everywhere. Like it's like grow a bunch of rare monstera in the back, and then I'll be like, "Oh, yeah, that's harder." Anyway,
What else you got?
Okay, well then, since we're still talking about baseball, Tyler Gilbert made his first start. I think it was a couple days ago, and he threw a no-hitter on his first start against the San Diego Padres, and he plays for the Arizona Diamondbacks,
Has that ever happened
which is
before?
pretty impressive.
Has
No,
that
it's
ever
never happened before.
Yeah, so a
Your very
rookie.
first start throwing a no-hitter? No.
That's nuts.
yeah, I mean,
I'd stop if I'm serious. I'd be like, I'm out.
I'm going to go to relief. I'm going to be a reliever
And then
closer from
I
now
would
on.
just, because I'd at least, I'd get penalized, right, for whatever deal I made, but I'd peace out. I'd keep like maybe $1 million and just get a regular job. My claim to fame would be, I'm so good. I came in, did it perfect, walked out.
so I wonder. There's a certain aspect of throwing a no hitter that is dependent on luck, right? Like I don't know baseball
Yeah.
enough, but I mean, like it depends. Like if the batter sometimes swings at even and just happens to hit it, like you kind of lucked out by getting a no hitter, right?
Correct.
I mean, obviously your skills have
You
to
could just
be
say
tip top.
You got to have tip-top skills, but you can say lots of factors,
yes,
Yeah.
including your own team and their team, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
your
like-
defense. Yeah, you need
I
your
mean,
defense to have an on night, and the batters have to have an off night.
Yeah.
Like because Tatis plays for the Padres, he's a really good hitter. For him to go to 0-4 is amazing.
That's really cool. That's neat, man.
Okay, I don't know baseball very much, but
Well, we were just learning that no hitters were more rare. So for this guy to do this, right?
so during a no hitter, you could actually the batter could hit the ball but then like pop fly out, and that still doesn't
not
count
a
as a
hit.
hit.
Right.
Obviously, a hit
Yeah.
you have to get
Or
to first
if
base.
the player misplays it and it becomes an error, that still counts as a no hit. So he could still reach first base. That would ruin a perfect game. Or if he walks somebody, that's still a no hitter. But that's the reason why.
Has there ever been a no hitter where the batter literally none of the batters even touched the ball with their bat?
Oh, you mean like a 3 strikes you're out each
So
bat?
you're saying in the
because
history.
that's
Okay,
No,
so in the
that's
history,
like the
All right.
ultimate perfect.
Well, that would be the ultimate.
I'm waiting for that.
but
The
what's that
ultimate.
called?
Yeah, because
It should be called the ultimate.
Because there's spectrums of no hitter. Like if someone made an error and made it to first base, technically, I guess under the rules of baseball, whatever,
Yeah.
that's still considered
there's
a no hitter.
degrees of no hitting.
But I would be like, well, that's not as good as a no hitter as someone that never even got to first base, right? So there's this, and then
Yeah, there's a no hitter. There's a shutout, which is just no scores. Then there's a no hitter, and then there's a perfect game, which no one reaches first base.
and there's been perfect games.
No,
Obviously.
but we
There's
want
been perfect games.
We
but it
want
hasn't won
the
since
ultimate.
2006.
I want the
You want the ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate. No batter even makes
Touch the
contacts,
ball.
even for a foul ball. Like
No.
yeah.
It just like you were not able to hit the ball one time.
yeah.
That's
I'm waiting for
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
If someone does that, then I'll be impressed.
Now, if that happens, like let's say tonight, I will. And this is a Dan Dennis promise. I will go back and watch that game. Not all of it is too long.
So you're hoping for it can't be a 27 pitch game because you need 3 strikes per inning and there's 9 innings, so that's 27 pitches. It would be a perfect game that way. But they're the closest you get. Well, no, 27 would be for a 1 pitch per batter game, right? Yeah.
Probably damn near impossible. I would, but still.
Yeah, if everyone popped out or grounded out each
it's
pitch,
something to shoot for.
that would be the ultimate perfect game.
It's something to shoot for.
No. I'm saying doesn't even ever make contact. Like it's you swing and a miss, whiff.
I said it. They never touch the ball.
Yeah. That's the ultimate. Anyway.
So it would be 81 pitches. That would be a perfect game.
Also, I want a basketball game where all points scored, only dunks, no shots.
That's ultimate. Anyway, next story.
All right, let's go over to the nerd stuff now since we got the time. Honus Wagner, since we're still talking about baseball, his car just sold for $6.6 million. It's the most the car's gone for ever.
I don't think anyone named Honus should ever warrant the influence of being able to drive the prize of millions for anything, not even a tomato on a roadside.
His name sounds like a person that exposes themselves.
He does.
Like he gave you the Honus Wagner.
It does sound like that. Like, in fact, if you were like, oh my God, this guy got arrested for indecent exposure, the first thing I think of, Honus Wagner. The first name I think of. It's the first name I think of.
Like you wagged your Honus.
You wagged your Honus.
So what kind of car was it, EJ?
The card is not even like a normal size, like tops or flare card. It's like a 3 inches by 2 inches, and there's only like 60 in existence.
Yeah, they're like tobacco cards, right?
Yeah, and they're on like this like crummy cardboard paper, and the only reason why it's worth money is because Honus Wagner, and there's only like 60 in existence.
And it's a tobacco card. Way cooler than just baseball cards with bubble gum.
Yeah,
If there were, here's another Dan Dennis promise. If they sold today cigarettes that you got a trading card in, I'd probably still smoke. I love collecting a good trading card.
EJ, what odds would you give me on this is a rich white guy purchase?
I don't know. To tell you the truth, it might be a rich white guy, but I'm also thinking there's a lot of people from Dubai that buy a lot of this stuff.
That's what I was
too.
thinking.
All right.
So it's about 50-50. It'd be, if you give me even odds, I might take the bet.
Sometimes I'm surprised on weird things that were purchased, like, and they'll say like, and Betsy Ross's original rocking chair where she sewn the first American flag was purchased by Akpad Jones. I'm like, well, who's that guy from? Where's he from? I don't know.
You're right. Yeah, I guess you get a lot of like princes and stuff like that.
Because you gotta have that. You gotta have that crazy ass money.
Yeah, but
or the guy from those islands that always hires the comedians to come in.
The Seychelles. Yeah, the Seychelles Islands. Yeah, that guy's rich.
Yeah, but I don't know if they're interested in baseball. I'll take an even odd bet with you for $50 that it's just a rich white guy.
I'm still losing money on my bitcoins because of the $50.
The tell on this though, if this were soccer, no white.
Yeah.
If this were soccer, no white people allowed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't like it.
Next story.
Okay, next story. Have we talked about the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit with Disney yet? I don't think I have.
I think we did mention that she was suing for the streaming money.
We may have brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, but it's crazy. Like, that was the reason why they never released it for for Disney Plus for so long, because she had that deal saying it was supposed to be an exclusive release in theaters because her money was tied into that, and that's the reason why she's bringing up the lawsuit now, because they violated the contract.
It again, crazy to me that they just thought that she would. Maybe they just knew she was gonna sue, and they they just planned it out.
Cost analysis, like, oh, it's gonna cost us this much if she sues us, or we can make money on Disney Plus the same amount or more.
Yeah, I mean, Disney has employs a law firm that it probably has hundreds of lawyers that can work full time on planning out all their movies and
from here until the end of time.
And then I'm sure they're like, okay, well, COVID changed the way we're going to do releases. All these contracts we wrote, we're going to be sued by everybody.
Yeah, this just won't happen again.
And then, it's just like
this is it.
They probably expected it to come, and it's just making news. Like, how could they do that? They knew. Right after COVID, when they knew they were going to start digitally releasing these, they were like, "Oh, we're going to get sued by all these actors that were going to get paid on the box office."
So we better update the contract to reflect that.
Well,
that's what the WB did. Warner Brothers did that when they were releasing stuff on HBO Max. They renegotiated with their clients that were like, especially like Margot Robbie renegotiated, Idris Elba. They offered them money. Disney with Scarlett Johansson just said, "We're going to do it. We're going to ask for forgiveness, not permission."
I know that we've talked about how crazy that is. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Keep going. What else you got?
Okay, let's talk about. Have you seen Moon Knight's new costume? Oscar Isaac's costume for the TV show that they're going to put on Disney Plus.
Okay, Moon Knight. I know that's a superhero.
Yes. And they released his costume, and I think it's one of those scenarios where it's kind of like the Sonic. A lot of people are hating on it, and some people like it because it kind of looks almost comic book accurate. But I think they're doing it to see what people's reactions are and to see if they can tweak it before the show comes out.
Okay, well, is this just straight up ripped off from that whole Sonic thing where them...
I think that's what they're doing. That's my theory on this. They're released it, they it actually got leaked. And they're just doing that so they can see what it looks like.
Is that it right there?
Well, they'll also drum up free publicity on the internet from everybody sharing and talking about it. Like, even if they talk about how bad it is, people will pay attention. It's free marketing, right?
The costume on the right was that you had earlier. That's what the one right there is. The one they're leaked. The one you had originally is what the costume looked like in the comic books.
Well, I mean,
a lot of people are saying it looks like the Mummy from the Brendan Fraser movies.
No, they're being too critical. It's better than you could have drawn, nerd.
Oh, for sure. Believe me, I think it looks okay. I think it fits the character.
What's wrong with it?
It's kind of their version of it, which I think is great.
Yeah, but what is wrong with it?
Well, people want to complain about everything. You know that. It's not like Sonic where he had the weird human teeth and they had to fix that and make it look more like the video game.
Yeah, you're right. This is not so bad where it looks like it's like purposely done for publicity. It kind of, you could probably nitpick it and the ultra nerds are going to be like, oh, this is his clips on his shoulders are not exactly the same.
His moon cowl is 3 inches too short. His long fingernails.
It's a crescent moon and not a quarter moon.
Oh my goodness, he does not look moony enough.
But for everybody else, we're just like, all right, that looks about, I don't know what the hell moon.
When does this pop?
I don't know what it's supposed to look like.
When does this pop? We remember the .com bubble, remember the housing bubble. When can we stop and we put all the dumb Marvel movies to bed? Just one big hole, and you push them all in and shovel on top of it. Pat, we're done.
Dude, they're still making money.
Well, with Loki, especially at MegaCon, everyone was a Loki variant at MegaCon, according to the friends that went.
So where's the creativity in that, nerds?
They could do it.
Where's the creativity in that, nerds? Now you all go to MegaCon and you're all dressed like what appears to be an old man with long black hair. Great job. Great job. No creativity whatsoever. Oh, look, what are you? I'm Luchador Loki. Oh, what are you? I'm Super Mario Loki. Oh, well, what are you? I'm Sexy Loki. Get out of here with that garbage. Garbage.
I was going to do Deadpool Loki with just a Deadpool mask and a Loki horn.
Tom has affected me. He's poisoned me, and I hate it.
Dude, as long as you can make these cheap enough to make a good return, they're always going to make it. Like, I was just looking... The ridiculousness, we were talking about this the other day. This is I feel embarrassed telling everybody, but me and my wife have often just landed on ridiculousness on Hulu Live, and then we watch it just
we do
in the
same
background.
Thing, but we do it on cable because we're old.
And so they're starting to pop out other forms of, hey, we're putting a panel together to talk about internet videos. They're doing like 2 others that are just the same thing, the same formula. They're not even trying to hide it. They call it like some sort of like cuteness or something other thing. It's like they show just cute videos, and some other thing they just
so now they're splitting up the videos.
They're
segment everything
because they're like, this is cheap. We could pay these hosts nothing. They're just comedians or whatever. They want the exposure, and we'll get. Now we don't have to do a live studio audience. We can pump in the fake studio audience and just start knocking these out and making money. And I feel like the entertainment industry is going to always do that if they feel like I can produce this for X amount and sell it for another. I mean, it's just pure business, and that's what they're doing with the Marvel movies.
Okay, hold on a second. For anybody that I read a little bit about this, and because I want to be educated when it comes to Moon Knight, and I want to set you nerds straight. It says right here on Wikipedia about Moon Knight, because I'm like, I wondered what are Moon Knight's powers. Rather than ask you, EJ, and then have you tell me something and have the chat room eat you alive, I figured I could look it up myself. And I looked it up. And Mark Spector, right, former boxer, Marine, CIA operative, and mercenary. Okay, he's a badass. He finds himself near death, being betrayed by his employer, some guy, Raoul. Then they stumble upon an archaeological dig, which Bushmen intended to loot for profit. As he lay there dying, Spector was approached by an Egyptian moon god who offered him a second chance of life in exchange for becoming his avatar on Earth. Yeah, and you mean to tell me there's not supposed to be any Egyptian influence in the costume? Because I'm looking at regular Moon Knight from the comic book, and there's no Egypt anywhere. He just looks like Batman Plus. And you mean to tell me that you're mad because they added the Egyptian and they followed the Blanken story, and you're mad about that? Get out of here. You suck, you stupid nerds. You're so bad at being nerds. You're so bad at it. You complain about everything, and I hate it.
Are they the nerd trolls? Because I think you got trolls that would just troll everything.
Some of it.
The contrarians we were talking about the other day is like your entire
He's an Egyptian crime fighter, or at least he's got some background there.
So,
but the problem is he's also schizophrenic, so he might not really, this might be all in his head. Is the issue with Moon Knight as well.
Well, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
So what powers does he have? Like, is he a super strength?
That's the thing. He has like healing ability. I think he has super strength.
Okay, yeah.
Not to really high levels, but
it says he was actually resurrected. And then it just says, I hate it when they don't give you the breakdown. It's given superhuman abilities, whatever that means.
Okay, so
he does have
able to jump high, run fast, all that stuff.
But he's not really living. It's supernatural at this point. He's got the alien or the Egyptian curse.
It looks too Egyptian. God forbid we have any of our superheroes have an influence from any other culture or any. Yeah, don't do that. Keep them all Batman.
What's next,
White
CJ?
psychos.
Okay. The last story I got is, Tom, have your sons been watching Bad Batch on Disney+?
Butler told me to watch it with my sons, and
you should.
They were super bored by it.
Yeah, they hated it.
They did not like it at all.
It's too not. But the thing is, Bad Batch connects Mandalorian, the Clone Wars. What's the one? The Rebels TV show. It all connects. Like that's like a cohesive thing that brings all of them together. So you might have to watch that to understand some of the issues that happen in later series, like the new Mandalorian or the Book of Fett or Bad Batch Season 2.
It's too long. It's also like a cartoon, which degrades it a little bit. And the fact that it's like a little more older than my sons for their attention span. Like, they don't like a lot of dialogue. They like action. They loved Mandalorian. It was half-an-hour episodes.
There's not a lot of dialogue in that.
And there's a lot of action. Mandalorian's there the whole time. Grogu.
They keep it moving.
Yeah. Bad Batch, there's a lot of them talking on a spaceship.
You know what you should try with your boys? Try Bridgerton.
I think also we got to be careful about. You hear about Horatio Sands? Did you hear about that?
No.
From The Mandalorian, dude, he got in trouble for grooming.
For what?
For grooming, like he was trying to hook up with a 17-year-old. Like all those people that are on The Mandalorian are getting in trouble.
Not Horatio Sands. God, not the.
What did he do? From SNL, Horatio Sands.
Please be a different
He's that,
Horatio.
Creature that's at the very beginning of Mandalorian.
Oh, what did he play?
He's that squid creature that the Mandalorian captures in the first episode, and then he's working for Apollo Creed in later episodes.
No, they hung him upside down,
Yes.
and then the red eyes of the creatures on the planet were gonna they insinuated they're gonna eat
that
him.
was John Leguizamo. Was that character.
yeah. Okay. Oh, the bounty hunter.
The first one they got.
The first bounty that he captured, and then he was working as the clerk for Apollo Creed. Shooter McGavin, whatever his name is. I can't think of it.
So what did he do? He started hitting on a 17-year-old?
No, he was grooming, as in preparing someone who's underage.
Yeah, here,
for a
I'll
relationship.
I'll read from Tracy. Thank you for throwing this in our Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/TomandDanLive. She says, in 1999, when she was 14 years old, the alleged victim started posting on various online websites, message boards, and chat rooms about Saturday Night Live. The lawsuit says in January 2000, Sands and one of his colleagues emailed the girl, and thereafter, Sands began his process of grooming plaintiff, including an October 2000 in-person meeting after a taping of the show, according to the lawsuit.
And this was when, how old was he? And this is in 21 years ago?
It was on Saturday Night Live, so he had to be
he would've
older
been-
than 24, probably.
Yeah, he'd probably been late 20s, maybe, early 30s. I'd say late 20s.
Oh. Well, he shouldn't have done that. That's bad for his career.
It says Sands is accused of engaging with a minor on AOL Instant Messenger in 2000 and steering those conversations to discuss sex, sexual experiences, sexual activities, sexual fantasies, and masturbation with a then 16-year-old, and continued to solicit inappropriate photographs of her. He's 52, and she is now 31. Or no, he was 31 at the time. Thank you, Brock. Man, you guys are good. It's like... To
Catch a Predator was out at that time, right? Like these people should have known.
And it was at a Jimmy Fallon party. Oh, okay. Well, this is going to end poorly. This is going to be bad. Oh, my God. This is terrible.
Also weird.
Go back to Moon Knight. You know what? I'm okay with the costume now.
It's weird that it came out here like 21 years after the fact. Like, has she been telling people, or she's like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're asking the question everybody asks. Yeah, that's what people say. They're like, well, why'd you wait? And sometimes there's no answer for that.
Yeah, or she got into therapy and she actually started discussing it.
There's a lot of different.
So
everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. What is that it?
And the therapist like Horatio Sands from SNL, the squid guy from Mandalorian,
the guy that does the Christmas song
Weird.
with where they play. I wish Christmas was this year.
Are we done, EJ?
I think we're done.
Yeah.
Should we,
God, way to bring us down on that Horatio one. Sunk the boat.
Weird to bring up during Nerd Jock. I guess it kind of applies.
Well, it applied because he was connected with the Bad Batch, and he's on the Mandalorian. It connects to that. Yeah, it just came up to my head when I came down. But talking about my wife's convention, and MyCon is on August 28th. It's at the Wyndham Resort on International Drive. Masks are required. Even if you are vaccinated.
Masks are required. Mad Max is required.
Yeah, because it's such an enclosed space.
Yeah.
They want everyone needs to wear a mask just to be safe.
Sure.
Well, what if I'm wearing a Mandalorian helmet? Does that count?
That counts as long as you're covered.
Now, what if the Mandalorian helmet has a hole where my mouth and nose are?
Mesh.
Then that will have to be covered with a
and
mask.
it actually has a fan that blows it out.
Yeah, what if I have Sub-Zero like costume on and I have like the black mesh hoodie, that goes over, but it's just mesh. It doesn't actually stop the corona.
It doesn't block the aerosol of your saliva.
Do I have to wear a medical mask over my Sub-Zero head?
I like the way that
you got to
looks.
wear the welder's shield in front of it if you're going to do that.
You know what?
It's not part of the costume.
You know what I heard is that welders, when they're wearing those shields, if they breathe in enough of their own CO2, they'll die. I heard that.
It hurts the brain, is what I heard.
Who's that in there? Who was that?
Needs oxygen.
Who was that talking?
Carlos, I think it's my guy.
Put Carlos on.
Yeah, put him on.
No,
Carlos knows I don't like it when people start talking when I'm talking. Carlos, what the hell are you doing?
He can't hear you. I have headphones in.
All right, EJ. We'll talk to you next week.
Hey, pay for my student loan, please. Bye.
Just stop paying.
Okay, yeah, just stop paying.
Yeah. What are they going to do?
What are they going to do?
Yeah. They got,
Well, they'll come and take your fence.
All right. Bye-bye.
That's a good one. No, we can talk about that. We can talk. Why does my body do that? My body does it too, dude. I'm not bagging on you, but There was a guest we had in here. Who was the last guest we had in here? He was a professional guest too. My memory's really bad. We were doing like a real interview.
Yeah, it was after Fringe. Besides from the normal one.
But they open their mouth, and sometimes when you open your mouth as a broadcaster, you'll be like, and you open your mouth, and you'll hear your body will go like,
yeah. It's the
I hate that.
The N-word burp. It's like the burp that doesn't go out. It just repositioned itself.
So it's an air bubble. Is it an air bubble?
Something. But I noticed that like as my body slowly dies, there's more of that going on where it's like I give up.
Yeah, like I make a lot more noises now. My bones make a lot more noises.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'll just be laying places and my body will just start making noises.
Yeah.
Not like anything coming out though. Only things internally.
Yeah. That's your insides are dying.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what it
good.
is.
Let's jump into some voicemail messages. If you'd like to leave us voicemail messages, grab our free app. You can sign up to be a BDM member and get extra shows. All of our content's on there for free. Obviously, except for the BDM stuff. You can pay a little bit of extra money, get private parties, special merch drops, all kinds of fun stuff, and a community of some of the best people we know. Here is our first voicemail. Oh!
Hey, Tom, Dan, Sam, Butler.
He did it! He did it! What are the odds? What are the odds? He did it! What are the odds? And I didn't know that.
That was a gross
one.
It sounded
What
like,
was that?
It sounded like what you hear on the ship when you're holding the flamethrower and then you're looking.
There's an alien.
And it's breathing in your neck with a big.
Did you hear it?
Horse teeth.
I'm going to have to turn this one up loud again.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're going back in for a second time.
Hey, Tom, Dan, Sam, Butler.
Oh! Wow!
Your insides are dying real bad.
Man, you're dead. You might be dead.
Gross inside air bubble.
Now, what are the odds that I would be talking about that because you did it, and then I play the voicemail, the guy does it? That's just good. That's just good magneting. That's good magneting.
Yeah. Sometimes it works out.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that makes me think, see, we're the best at this.
Yeah.
That's why we're the best. Because we can line up our burps.
Yeah. That's like when Odell caught that ridiculous pass.
Yeah.
It's just like, just luck.
Yeah, it's all
not
luck.
Even that good.
We'll keep going.
I'm just calling to tell a story about my day today after a week of hell. I had a really terrible day here at work. I decided to take upon myself to change a light fixture at my job, and I proceeded to knock out half the lights in my warehouse that I work in. It was a fun day. I just thought it was something to share.
What do you think his guys are like? Is he standing in the middle of the warehouse alone? I envision him standing like alone in the warehouse saying this. Does he work alone in the warehouse as he's saying this? Because it's a very somber message, Tom.
Yeah, and you're also leaving out some details in which
he's leaving out the exciting details.
The details are probably that it's your fault that you knocked all the lights out in the warehouse, and therefore why your bad day is happening. It's not just you went up there and tried to do a good deed and some sort of weird anomaly with the wiring or something that was done wrong that had nothing to do with you caused all the lights to go out. Because if that happened, I would imagine your boss or the owners or whatever, your manager, wouldn't be so mad at you, and therefore it wouldn't be a bad day, right?
Right.
Because they would be like, oh, weird. Jerry tried to change the light bulb and then something happened. This was wired wrong. You know what I'm saying? It's not what you're telling me is you tried to change the light and you fell or you grabbed a hold of like some light.
You broke some stuff.
You used the wrong light bulbs. Something happened.
This is your fault.
Yes, it's your fault, Jerry. And that's why.
Does anybody else go through this kind of turmoil in their job? I wonder. Anyway, I'm drunk, because
Oh, wait, hold on a second. You didn't tell us that part. See, Tom was right. You left out some details.
And you're saying, does anybody else go through this turmoil? All you've described is I tried to change a light and all the lights got knocked out.
That's not what I heard. I heard that he tried to change the lights drunk and all the lights went out.
Was it your fault? Did you do something stupid? Because it seems like that's why your bad day is happening.
Drunk before or drunk after?
drunk because, I've had a rough week. And, figured I'd send a message.
See?
Oh, going back in the pocket. I'm down there with the candies. I heard myself down there next to the candies. Could you hear that?
I heard some candy.
I heard some candy. Hold on. We're down there. Put me in your pocket, sir. I want to be down there next to the candies, please.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, right there next to the Starlight Mints. Oh, good Brock's candies.
Yeah. See, a lot of people do this where they get mad at their bad day and they get mad at the situation they were in.
Well, they're mad at the day like the day is actually a tangible thing.
Yeah.
Like it's an item you can hold.
Or like they're throwing it to bad luck or whatever. But there's really one question to answer. Was this your fault or not? Because if it wasn't your fault, then you shouldn't feel so bad about it. But if it's your fault or this has somehow happened because of your decisions, then therefore you should feel bad.
What you're describing, and I hate to extend this message, and we're not going to play any more of the guy's voice. The chat room can't handle it anymore. Sir, we love you. No, please take no offense to that. But we're standing, you and I are standing right now on something that is very near and dear to this show's heart and to our hearts as business partners, and that is the concept of, quote, it's my fault. This is a theme that you and I do where we immediately assume that everything is our fault.
Yes, and you should always assume that first.
We're not good at going, this is your fault. We don't typically do a lot of that.
Work your way backwards from how you could have done something different to there's for a different result to happen after.
Start with yourself.
Yeah, if it's not directly your fault, did your decisions lead you to this, and therefore you could have avoided it? And then if it's not, then you should take an even stance. Like, this is unfortunate that this happened, and I don't like that this happened, but it was not my fault in any way, and therefore I do not feel bad about it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we've done that before. It really does help me in my life to compartmentalize the thing, because a lot of times I can look back on myself and I will see the little bit of something that I could have done. There it is. But it does make me feel better to find the thing, because I'm like, I won't do that again.
No, I mean, there is something to be said about you shouldn't overly beat yourself up, or,
I'm pretty good at that.
You should, cut yourself some slack, and there could be something to be said about that. But for me, I'm always like, well, if I scan the situation and then track it back to something I did, I can learn from that, and therefore maybe it won't happen again, or I learn my lesson, which I never do.
If you track it back and you're like, yes, it was me on the Saturday Night Live chat room web boards talking to young girls, that's your fault.
Yeah.
And nothing but your fault.
Horatio
says.
Hey, if you knew and everything, there's no way, there's like, this is on you. You got to pay the price. But so many people will do the opposite of this and start trying to look for anybody else to blame but themselves. And that's a bad way to be. You are going to hurt yourself long-term by doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of different ways.
Well, you start driving people away, too.
Oh, yeah.
You drive people away real hard when everything else is their fault and never your fault. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a no-friend zone there, buddy.
Nobody wants to be around that person. Nobody wants to hire that person. Nobody.
If you can't say, I did this and I'm sorry, and that's another one, too. I'd sprinkle an I'm sorry, especially if you're dealing with interpersonal type stuff. I'm not talking business stuff. Yeah. I mean, business stuff, it doesn't have feelings unless it is a person you've wronged. But, looking inward, seeing if it was your fault, and then being okay with being wrong and saying you're sorry, that goes a long blanking way.
Yeah. And you shouldn't feel bad about things that are beyond your control. Like, if it's not your fault and something happens,
That's a bad one for me because I'm a bit of an empath.
Yeah.
And I feel things hard, man. I feel hard.
Yeah, like, feeling bad, I guess, is all subjective. But I mean, like, you shouldn't feel overly bad or beat yourself up
To
about.
dwell, you mean?
Dwell on something
It's
that.
hard for me not to do that, but I'm working on it.
You cannot control, and it wasn't your fault. But if you look hard enough, most things are your fault.
I have a question. I'd like to award this person the prize of the day for. This is a really good question that I've never really thought of. I figured you'd like this voicemail.
Megan from Detroit here. Just out running some errands on a Saturday afternoon. And I'm curious, have you guys ever thought about what retail outlet is most pain pill crazy? I have thoughts.
What do you mean by
Okay,
that?
so we talk a lot. This is the way that I internalized her question because I think I got it.
Okay.
She means, we talk a lot about like Tom's got a handyman over there. He's got some guy up. He's blasting the gutters with the pressure washer. These guys are pain pill crazy.
Okay.
We have perpetuated that. That may or may not be true. There's
Yeah.
a reason that we talk about the stereotype that is that. You got a guy up there with no shoes that's cutting your the limbs over your house for a 12-pack of beer.
Yeah, pain
probably
pill.
on pain pills.
Yeah.
So
Tow
she's
truck, there's certain
asking
industries.
in retail, what store or type of store or area of retail do you find the highest concentration of people that dance with the opiates? Chat room, this is open to you as well. You can watch us every single day. The stream is open, twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live.
Is Walmart employee considered retail?
It is.
Okay, Walmart.
Butler says Big Lots. That's a good one. That's a good
yeah.
one.
Big Lots could be. Although Walmart, I feel like it's so big, you get lost in the system.
If it's Xanax, it's Target, I feel like. Younger people work there, and they love the Xanax.
I never saw it. Like, I did Champs for a long time, and wasn't much of a pain pill thing. Like, when I was a
Champs, I say weed, right? Champs would be like, let's go smoke a blunt, or let's go have a joint.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, the
Champs to me seems that's like pretty
everybody
straight
is
and narrow.
Yeah. Smoking weed,
Yeah, that
drinking.
it didn't get too crazy. Champs is pretty normal.
Pain pills are expensive. Also, like, once it seemed like more in the repo industry, there was pain pills, like a tow truck.
Not
driving.
retail, but that's good.
There's the blue collar stuff, a lot of like hard ass work where you're constantly in pain.
Yeah,
you tend to, you're like, my back hurts all the time, and I don't have the money to go see a legitimate doctor about it. It's a pain pill,
Right?
And there was a height of it, which was the early 2000s. Not so much. I don't see that much of it as much as I did.
It's out there. They just
15
hide it.
years ago.
You have to
Yeah.
hide it better now.
But it was like the pain clinics on every corner. That it was bad for a while.
Very bad. Let's try. I'm gonna go with this one.
Ice cream store.
Ooh.
Pain pill addicts love
Sweets.
candy and sweets.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on a second.
Remember I was that Cadbury kid?
Yeah, you were the Cadbury kid.
When I'm at my shoulder
Well,
surgery.
that was the sweetest time of the show. That was our first studio. We both had jugs of pain pills. It was a great
That
time.
was 09.
We were using this show to escape another show. That's why it was so fun. Now this show is just that other show. Let's try this one.
Hey guys, Kyle up in Hilton Head again. I was listening to
This is the Uber driver that's in Hilton Head that calls us from time to time.
CT, State of Emergency, and you guys were being pretty rough on the Uber driving scene. Now, I'm not a full-time Uber driver. I'm actually a stay-at-home dad for the most part now. But when I need money or extra money, I'll go Uber. And
I think he means when he says we were being rough on Uber drivers, not you, sir. We were talking about Uber, like we were talking about the difference in Uber when we first started Ubering, which we did very early on. Like we were doing it before. This isn't a brag. It just we needed it for business, and we were in cities that had it. Orlando didn't have it, and when we used it, it was like legitimate limousine service. It was amazing.
It's like 2012, 13. Like that's what when I left and we went to Ubered and with traveling
and
with the
we were
MLS.
in like bigger cities like Seattle and Philadelphia and LA.
It was before it was even here.
Yeah.
And then even when it got here, there was a lot nicer cars, a lot more people like you doing it just for like side money and a side hustle. You had nicer car. Like people were doing it.
Now
with
it's hit or miss too because the Uber we took to the Johnny's event was a decent Uber.
Yeah.
The one going back not as nice, but
when you have to do it, then it becomes it degrades the quality.
Yeah, a little bit.
Listen, we're kind of well-to-do family. My wife makes over 100. That's why I stay home. And but when I go out in Uber, like last week, I made $2,000, and I think it was like 55 hours worth of work. So. You guys are talking about like, oh, it's only poor people and you don't make a lot of money. And I really think you're once again, especially Tom, talking about things you have no clue.
Yeah, especially you, Tom.
I know that's easy to do, but you should look into it first. And I'll happily provide a screenshot with this email just to prove it, so you guys don't call me a liar. I think my screenshot's going to show like 1,700 or 1,800, but people still give cash tips, so I made well over $2,000. And then you're like, oh, what about gas? I'm sure you're gonna throw that in there because everyone tries to minimize it by saying, oh yeah, but all the gas. The gas was like 10% of that, so like $200 approximately. But anyway, some information to chew on.
Here's why I'm right.
I think you're a liar.
Because
I saw the screenshot.
If you are describing a scenario where you're making really good amount of money for the amount of work you are doing, I would assume there would be more people Uber driving around town.
He's in Hilton Head, which is a really nice area. So
is it the area you're in? Like.
I mean, if I had my choice of Ubering in Orlando or Ubering in Hilton Head, I'd choose Hilton Head.
Is he saying he made that in a week? Like,
deleted. I think it was 2 weeks, wasn't it? Or 55 hours.
55 hours. Well, how long of, is that 55 hours of actively Ubering? Or is that 55 hours of actual driving with a customer in the car?
No.
Well, because the thing is, you turn your Uber app on, right? And then, therefore, you're on the clock, essentially, right? You're on call, right?
So that counts. That counts in time spent.
Yeah, because you have to be open to take a call, right? So then there's that. So then maybe you live in a high Uber area. I'm sure it's not high all the time. It's usually high during peak hours, right? So there's other competition with other Ubers. But I count as like as soon as you turn your app on to accept Uber, and is he counting that? Like I want to break it down here. I think it can be better than we're describing, but I think to like optimize it, you have to be insane. You have to be Andrea, right? Like Andrea would be the best Uber driver ever because
would be all organized.
She would organize it, optimize it, like go to the right areas.
And she'd clock in, clock out.
She would take the right trips, which led you into areas that are also
she'd plan her trips to do her errands.
So then you take a trip, and then also as soon as you drop that person off, you get another person to head back towards your area. It's like there are ways to do it probably the best.
God, they got games like this now, man. They got an Uber game on Xbox where it's like you're an Uber, and the whole idea about it is what you're saying. The whole idea is to plan it so you can hit the peak areas at the right time and get your way home.
It just seems like based on the Uber drivers and Lyft drivers now that the edge has been taken away and it's not that great.
This is interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Just Jen in our Twitch chat room, she says, in Atlanta on Halloween, our Uber driver drove up from Florida and he worked there all night.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
That's smart.
And I've heard of drivers before, God, who was I talking to? Oh, when I was Ubering, when my WRX, I think when I sold it or traded it in, and there was like that week or whatever.
I thought you meant you were driving. I was like, you never told me.
No.
That'd be terrible.
But I had to Uber everywhere for like a week.
Yeah.
And then there was a guy that picked me up in his Uber, and he was an Uber driver, but also a professional driver for a guy that needed to be driven to, ironically enough, Atlanta and back from Central Florida once a month because he had to go to a meeting up there, right? So he preferred to Uber because he would work in the back seat.
Right, a lot of people like that.
And because he'd have Wi-Fi.
And they can stop whenever they want and get food.
And he liked to drink on the way back. So he said he'd work on the way up there, and on the way back, he'd have his laptop or whatever, and he'd like to drink or whatever. And then he got paid $800 for the trip or whatever. And all it was is driving to Atlanta, waiting for the guy to do his meeting, and then driving him back. And his meeting was 3 hours or something. And then other than that, then he also Ubered or whatever. But so that is sweet because you're getting paid. You don't have to cut Uber or anything. And it's it's a direct business deal. And it's you know exactly how much money you're going to make. But the rest of the Ubers, like I said, you turn it on and you wait for
There's a guy in town I know that's a driver that he is a private Uber. So he's got the nice car, but you'd never see him because he has his clients. And they refer other clients, and all he does is drive.
The thing is, there's so many different Uber drivers. I know that it stopped doing it, and I know that everybody's hiring, and there's unlimited jobs now. So you can have your choice of doing anything you want.
Right.
Every single business is hiring, so go get a job. It's easy to do.
It's
now, everybody's hiring.
Yeah.
So maybe that took some people out of the Uber business, but I just hadn't heard enough of these guys' stories where I made $2,000 in 55 hours. That seems like the anomaly, right?
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't seem like that's the regular story of everybody because more people would be doing it, right?
You would think. I think we got time for one more. Let's try this guy.
Hey guys, just heard something in an old episode that I realized I think I have the answer to. So I figured I'd leave a message. Dan says he hates the baby on board stickers because, of course he's, always going to drive safe. He's not, why should he drive extra safe because you have a baby in your car? Driving home from the hospital with my newborn son 7 months ago, I realized the baby on board sticker isn't asking people to, be extra careful around them. It's letting people know, hey, I'm driving 15 under the speed limit and, like a dickhead because I have a baby in my car. Dan, I used to think the same exact thing, but driving home from the hospital, super slow and cautiously, I realized that's what it's for. Tom, you're probably going to...
Yeah, no, okay, hold on here.
I like how you're... maybe I'm becoming too predictable because I started...
I ruined it, too. I turned it off here.
That's what it's for. Tom, you're probably going to tear this theory apart. Love you guys anyway. Have a good one.
Oh, he gave you the love you anyway. No, I have always had a problem. I've heard this before, and I've still had a problem with it because shouldn't you just be driving carefully no matter what? And plus, if I'm a maniac on the road and Tom's got a newborn baby in his car and he's driving 15 under the speed limit, the sticker on the side of your car isn't going to stop me from putting a bullet through it, right? If I'm a crazy person, it's I don't understand. It still doesn't make any sense to me.
It's the equivalent to when COVID first happened that people start drawing or taping a piece of paper to the back saying, I have no babysitter, so I have to bring my kid to Publix. You remember when that happened?
I don't remember ever hearing about that.
No, you don't remember?
No.
It was the whole...
That's a thing?
Well, it was the whole thing when only essential workers were supposed to be out. Everybody's supposed to be shut down. And then people would still have to go grocery shopping, but they'd bring their kid, and then they didn't want to be judged, even though nobody would say anything.
It's none of your business. I mean, what?
Well, people are...
I know why you're there. You're getting food with your kid because it's during COVID and you need food.
Yeah, but people are deathly afraid of getting judged. Even if they're not even being confronted or anything, they just don't want other people thinking bad stuff about them.
I judge you more because you have a piece of paper in your bag. You look like an idiot.
Yeah, of course. But, dude, it's irrational.
I've never heard of that.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember seeing that as a story.
It was on Facebook.
That's sad.
It was on Facebook and stuff. It was
oh, God.
But people, so this guy's saying that this is the equivalent to that. You put the baby on board thing to take your newborn from the hospital. Here's why that it couldn't. When you went through this, when we were taking our newborn home, nobody ever suggested that. Nobody ever emailed me like, hey, put the baby on board sticker.
Maybe I'm going to sound like an animal, but I drove normal, and I think I did 85 on I-4 because I have a car, and she's in the thing, in the seat thing.
Yeah, driving under the speed limit is dangerous.
Yes.
Two, because
No,
people...
I'm saying that I'm a bad father apparently because I gave it no thought. I got in my car and I hit the gas as hard as I hit it any other time I drive my car. I gave it no thought. It wasn't like, oh, there's a baby in here. I better really fart this up the road.
Well, I see what he's saying where you get super nervous. You got like a newborn. I got nervous driving home, but I just drove home carefully. I didn't go
But you
underneath.
should always drive carefully. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
I'm not doing anything any differently. If my wife's in the car, I should drive carefully. If I'm in the car, I should drive carefully.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll take some chances. Crystal will
Taking chances? Like, what do you have to do? It's a car.
I'm just like, I will take chances that I wouldn't take if I had a newborn in the car. But putting the sticker on the outside to tell everybody this is why I'm driving carefully is not a thing. I'm just saying this gentleman made that up, and there's no reason to put a baby on board sticker that other than you want to tell everybody. It's kind of like your cousin died and you putting when they died, when they were born on the back of your car. What's the reason for that?
I have that on my car.
You're not saying like, hey, this is drinking and driving, be careful.
No,
because that would be your reason.
I have one of those on my car, and I sort of take offense to you poking fun at it. Mine's a little different, though. It actually has the name of my cousin Scotty, who you know. My cousin Scotty listens to this show.
No.
And it has Scotty Dennis, and then it has his born date, a dash, and then it has a question mark, because I don't know when he's dead yet. But has anybody done that yet? That'd be funny, right? Put a question mark, like you don't know when they're dead, or you're waiting on it.
I hate that just as much.
Oh,
it's like
okay. You don't like any fun?
It's
You don't like any jokes?
Well, it's like you mocking the family by putting zombie family, or
That's just fun.
that's just as dumb as a regular
I
family.
agree. I don't support that either. I don't support any of that. I don't even like stickers on cars. I don't even know why we give them out. And magnets, that'll ruin your paint. Why are you guys doing that? Don't put a Tom and Dan magnet on your car. You'll mess up your car paint. The hell's wrong with you?
Let's do one more.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. Bye-bye.